Hey y'all, it's D1 and it's the Semi-Pro Show. And since we spent all the money on the commercial spot, we didn't spend any money on the actual show. But the idea is we want you to go to youtube.com. That's youtube.com. I'm gonna write it at the bottom of the screen. And we got some kickball opinions. And that's it. Welcome to the newest edition of the Semi-Pro Show, the show where we discuss all things semi-pro. We praise awesome plays, recap polarizing moments, and give our unfiltered opinions to such a great event, and give it the attention it deserves. I'm your host, Deone Williams, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Meg DeTusa.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Buckle up and get ready because this show is loaded with conversations on everything kickball and semi-pro. So let's get into the recap for the last tournament that was held on June 26th at Veterans Park in East Northport.
Starting off with our controversial yet necessary recap segment, we get right into our one-word observations. These words may be positive, may be critical, but it's what comes to mind when we think of the overall team in the tournament. Now, the first team we're going to talk about is Orbit. My word is satiated. Basically, what I mean by that is that I feel that the progress of the Orbit team has seemed to get to a plateau, and I look at certain players. Now, not all the players, I think, need to be more hungry, but I feel like some of the players are kind of like coasting based off the kind of riding the success that they've had, and maybe they don't want to challenge themselves even more. I just feel like there's other people on the team that are trying harder than others.
Mm-hmm. I also feel like some players are too cool to care. Like, that's how they're coming off. I know they all care, and I know that they're, frustrated they want to win, but I find that when I look over, and even when I rewatch some of the videos, it's just unseriousness and just no big deal. I'm just playing kickball, but it's like, it's a big deal. It's okay to care. It's okay to care about kickball. It's cool to care about kickball. I feel like there's that kind of stigma maybe too, a little bit for some players, but not all. So I would agree. But my word is trust. So Orbit is a talented team. I'll say it again and again. They have a lot of raw talent, a lot of new talent, but something that's sticking out to me and that is becoming quite the narrative, unfortunately, is that there's tactics that are being utilized over their talent. Like, the talent is there. Rely on the talent, rely on your players, rely on what you have. At this point, there's a narrative that is out there about this team, and it's unfortunate because they're truly talented. And whether it's deceiving through pitching, deceiving through taking pitches, even any mistake, they're just under a microscope. Unfortunately, I feel like there was a wrong score, which happens, right? You flip the scoreboard and you flip two on accident, but people are starting to question: is it an accident? Is it on purpose? Which takes away from how truly talented they are and how skilled their players are. So I just want them to trust themselves, trust each other, trust the talent that they have. Don't rely on a cheap win, a cowardly win, um, and just pull through and not do some of those cheap moves because it's
Yeah,
not it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
good. It's not a good look, and it's not going to get you anywhere. Might get you a win, but it's not a good move. It's not a good look. So
Yeah, like you said, it's being noticed, so we'll see.
unfortunately, it's overshadowing, honestly, the talent that's on their team. So
Right.
put it out.
Okay. Moving along to the next team, which is Riptide. My word was unsatisfied. And what I mean by that is we all know that we have expectations, but unsatisfied meaning that we're making simple mistakes, not correcting them. We have injuries. We were short man going into the semifinals. Now, whether that's our fault or not, it still leaves you know the team unsatisfied because we know that we should be performing better, and I know we can, but I just can't shake that feeling, that like aura of like we did it the first time in the first tournament, and like just little things keep coming up. You know, again, events coming up that makes you late. Fine, that happens. Life happens. You know, cramps. We all know people get cramps, but like take care of yourself. Um, just there's a team that is counting on everyone else. So I just want to see us kind of rise to the occasion, like I know we can. And until we do that, I'm gonna be unsatisfied.
Right. My word for Riptide is comfortable because I feel as though the players are comfortable doing what they've always done. They're not challenging themselves. I'm watching players come up, lead off, and pop out to center. People, popping up to bump block. Um, and this word for me goes both ways. I think that some players are comfortable doing what they've done. And don't get me wrong, again, another very talented team, another stacked team, but there has to be more strategy and more tact. You can't get away with doing some of these errors that I'm seeing that people know better. That's I think what really gets me. These are veteran players; they know better and they're just comfortable. And then also, I feel Los is comfortable. I feel this Riptide team is kind of the same as last year's Riptide team. Like, shake it up, do something different, get out of growth happens out of your comfort zone. So, like, let's make some trades. Let's make some moves. I mean, this is the team he had last year. He's got strong loyalties to players, but shake it up. Get out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Nothing more to add to that. Okay. Next team is the Black Knights. My word is veterans. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we all know that there is tons of experience in Black Knights. But as I'm watching some of the games, including the game versus Riptide, which is my team, the veterans need to step up. Like I know that there's a lot of good people that have a big reputation. Maybe 5 years ago, they were untouchable and whatnot. But the thing is that semi-pro is about stepping up and proving it on every given or any given Friday night. So I was a little disappointed in seeing a lot of the OGs, whether it's getting on base, moving runners over. It didn't seem like that was being done at a level that I've seen people do before. And that's kind of a hard thing to see when you know the capabilities and the talent on that team. So it's just basically calling out the veterans on the team to kind of step up and play to your name.
Yeah, I agree. Being one of those veterans, you're adding me right now. I accept it, which is why I'm saying we need a reset. We need a hard reset. We've had some challenges. We do need to get back to basics and just reset. But we have had some unique challenges that I'm not sure any other team honestly has. Um, we have players who don't typically play together. We have some vets, sure, but we have a lot of wild cards, a lot of new different people. So we just need to reset our foundation and get back to playing our game. But we had just newer players we didn't quite know what to do with. We have players this tournament, last tournament, making mention about playing time. Like there's a lot of different variables that I think clogged us up a bit. So we just need to hit that reset button.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I was specifically calling out. Yeah, sure. I know you guys do have a few new people, and that's all well and good. But like again, like the times what I was looking at, I'm looking at specific veterans on the team making errors on the defensive side.
Yeah, there were
You know,
errors.
so
That was
and
my word originally. My
you
word
know,
originally was errors because we did have errors, and
every
then
every team has errors. But again,
we had
some of the
some.
errors that I'm watching, veterans shouldn't be making.
Honestly, someone called out, "Don't let the ball go foul," and the ball was actually fair, and that scored 2 runs. Who was that? It was me. That was me. That was my error.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did have errors, but we had to lock in.
All right, moving on. We have the Rough Riders, and my word is roster. Now, to just a disclaimer, I didn't really see many games of the Rough Riders because we didn't really have a lot of video. I mean,
Wah, wah.
the only video that we had was the game that you guys had, Black Knights, and that wasn't really like a game that was taken seriously. So
That
it's
was
kind of
really
hard
not good.
to, yeah, it's kind of hard to analyze. But nevertheless, the roster of the Rough Riders still questions me. I think that uh, and you talk about shakeup. I think there needs to be a shakeup here for this team. I feel like I'm saying the same things, but you know what? Those are my observations, and until it changes, those are going to be the things that I keep bringing up. Uh, there are definitely opportunities coming up in the draft, and I'm sure there is a lot of DMs for trades. So I believe something is going to happen. I don't think there's pretty much anyone on that roster that should be untouchable, aside from maybe one player or two players. But yeah, the roster is concerning, and we'll see if that changes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see much, but I did speak to some people on Rough Riders. So for me, my word is rough because that is what I heard it was. Just with base running, getting on base and uh, being able to advance and score runs. I heard that that was something that they had trouble with, and so I know that they're having a rough time. I have heard that they're trying to make moves, that Jimmy might be trying to make moves, but I don't think he's willing to give anything away that he doesn't want to give away. He doesn't want to trade anything he doesn't want to trade. But you got to give something for people to be interested. So apparently people are not interested in whatever he's offering. So he wants to keep what he finds valuable, and that's great. But, you know, other people are not buying into the trade. So I'm interested to see what happens with them. I'm interested to see. Um, and I hope that we can get some videos from them so we can further see. But yeah, I've heard it's been rough.
Indeed, it has. I mean, that this was their first tournament that they didn't qualify for the playoffs, so that's also a very unfamiliar position for them. So let's see how they react out of that. Okay, moving right along to the next team, boot camp. My word was confidence. So I noticed in the games, specifically the semifinals against Riptide, but just in general, that they're kind of growing confidence. Is that because of some extra players that have been added? Notably, DJ has made his first appearance in the semi-pro. I know that they picked up Justine. So it could be part of the roster. The reason why, maybe it's some of their techniques, their defensive techniques of positionings that are giving them confidence. It could be a lot of different things. But what I do notice is that they are a lot of the leaders on the team, and there's a few, are speaking up, making sure people are running home or holding on base, basically giving directions. And it doesn't seem like they're conflicting with have conflicting messages. So that is something that I'm definitely aware of.
Hmm. Yes, I agree. I think adding Kenny, he's loud, he's vocal, um, and I think that that's been helpful for them for sure. So, I mean, you have John Bell out in the outfield, and Dennis at third. They kind of need someone now. They got Kenny over at first, so they've got kind of all their bases covered for their messaging to be amplified. So I agree. I definitely see more confidence in them. They act as a unit. They move as a unit. Like they were definitely more unified this tournament. And my wondering is about their sustainability and sustaining that. So I am very happy for them. I actually in the last show said that I'm rooting for them to win. I'm glad. I was very glad that they won because I feel truly that they deserved it. And it's great to see a team come together like that over the course of the past few years. Um, they're really a semi-pro story. So I'm just wondering. My word is sustain. How they'll sustain it, if they'll sustain it, not getting frustrated because everyone who's won one, coming into the next tournament, you never know what you're going to get, and it's easy to get thrown off your footing and get frustrated or get distracted or get in your own head because you had that win. So um, I'm hoping that, well, for my own sake, I'm hoping they won't sustain it, but um, I'm interested in that sustainability of that win. They got it. Can they keep it?
Yeah, well, they are the main ops now because they are the defending champions. And
Mm-hmm.
if we're looking at the trend, every team that's won the tournament, the next tournament, didn't qualify for playoffs. So let's see if that actually continues, almost like the
Mm-hmm.
Madden curse,
Yeah, it is a curse, right? Yeah. Let's see.
blessing
Let's
and
see
a
if they
curse,
sustain.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, moving to the Crimson Lions. Um, so improved is the word. I don't really think that there's any dispute about that. They came into the pool of death. Well, not the pool of death, but the pool of
Well,
champions. Yes, pool of champions. Excuse me. Um, with two returning champions in the pool, and they managed to be both and won the pool. So hats off to them. I know that in Alex's absence, BJ was a big was a fill-in. I believe he's like the co-captain. I would guess, but he did a good job. My word was going to be calm. Uh, at least in our game, they were pretty calm. They seemed like they knew what they were doing. There wasn't a lot of confusions. There was definitely a lot of support for each other. So that's what you
mm-hmm.
want to see out of a team. And I think this is a good opportunity to kind of evaluate to see the team to see what was working, what was different from last tournament to this tournament. Um, I don't know if that is approach to the game, players, luck. You know, these are all
Mm-hmm.
factors that need to be kind of looked over and considered. And maybe there needs to be some hard decisions to be made, but at the very least, they performed very well and improved. So let's see if they can continue that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. They definitely were collected. They had this also this calm confidence that I hadn't seen from them before. And I also feel like that comes from, you know, Dav, Soma, Angel. Like that's who I saw it from. Jason, people who have been playing for a while, but definitely had they did have this energy of like we're gonna win this. Like I noticed against us, I was like, oh
Yeah,
shit,
and those are some competitors that those names that you
yeah,
named. Those are competitors.
yeah, yeah. Angels commands the field at third for me. Like he really is. Um, Someone who a few years ago, I didn't know, so I wouldn't even be able to talk about him at three, but he's really grown into his third base role. I have a highlight that features him for later in the show. But my word is motivated. So I think, well, I know we were wrong in our predictions for the pool of champions, and I'm happy to be wrong about that, right? Like, I'm happy to see them victorious. I'm happy to see that they've improved, like you said, because that's the whole point of semi-pro. You want that team that's had that pick. We didn't see this for 2 years, but you want to see that team that's at the bottom who picks up newer players, grow into their potential with those pickups. And that's something that they're doing, something that they've done. And I just see the motivation. I see the hunger, if you will. And I am looking forward to seeing more from them. But I'm also at the same time, there was a lot of talk about like, oh, I'm not making changes to my team because it worked last time. Like, you can't copy paste from that tournament. You have three ladies who are missing that now you're adding back. So it's never going to be the same, right? I just want to make that clear because not wanting to change your team because it worked then is, to me, silly because you'll never be able to copy and paste that experience. So I'm interested to see they had this success and now other variables are added back, and how do they do with all together, and what decisions are going to be made thereafter, if any. So also send us your videos. Also Orbit, send us your videos. Also Bootcamp, send us your videos.
That's a few ads right there. A few
I want to
ads.
see your games. I want to see your games. I want to see what happened. I can't be everywhere at once.
That's right.
I do regret though. I do regret because like our game against Rough Riders was just a scrimmage. It was, we were both out. We knew we were both out, and we were just mucking around. And I was like, dang, I should have brought my phone over to Boot Camp Orbit.
Yeah.
That's a regret I have. Next time.
Yeah.
So.
Right. All right. Well, that wraps up the one-word observations. So I think this is a good time to talk about what we thought was good and what we thought was bad about the tournament. So, really, the first thing that comes to mind, and this is something that really keeps me coming back, which is no surprise, is the competition. There's a lot of close games. I mean, just from our games, I know we had a close game against you guys, Black Knights, which wasn't really like. I mean, I felt like we won, but like it could have literally been different if like one thing went wrong in an inning, So, in our second game against Orbit, I mean that was, we ran out of time, but we were up by two, and so like basically like I know that these games you come in, you might be confident, but the reality is that anyone can win these games. And of course, the Crimson Lions had kind of stunned us a little bit, but I'm very happy with the competition that people are presenting. Now, can it get better? Sure, but like it definitely keeps me coming back for more. And
Yeah.
and just to add on to that, not to take over the mic too much, but with the competition comes frustration, right? So losing close games, like sure you might be like, wow, like that was a really good game, but in the end, everyone wants to win. So like everyone should be frustrated. Everyone should be wanting to get better if they lose, because there's really only one team that should be happy, and that's the team that wins the tournament. So like I like seeing the frustration on people's faces after, because that means they care about it.
Yes. I also believe that there's frustration on teams, whether it's within self or within teammates or within captaining decisions, or and the games are very close. Whereas I feel last year with Black Knights, It was just kind of annoying how they were dominating. It wasn't always as close. So I prefer this style better. I prefer this kind of competition better, where it's anybody's game and it's not like last year. I think we were all just happy if someone beat the Black Knights.
Well,
That was,
they were winning, but I don't think the games were blowouts. I think the games that they were winning were pretty close.
I think they were close, but these games are like 3-2. You know, like they're maybe 1 point or 2 points. I think there was always like a 2 or 3 point gap with Black Knights. Like they'd open it up. They'd get on. I know with us a few times, Rough Riders, we were close and tied, and then something went left in right field. Like something went wrong in right field. So and then they had people on, and then they'd score, and it was now they're up by 2 or 3. So it wasn't blowouts. That's not what I'm saying, but it was 2 or 3 enough to get you discouraged. Like I'm not sure if we're going to be able to pull this off within 2 innings with where we're at in our lineup and things like that. So I just think that last year, I remember last year distinctively being like, I don't care who it is, just someone needs to win. It
Right.
can't
And
be them.
I remember you saying that, and I remember telling you, I think it's just going to take time for for the league kind of figure the new team out. But yeah, you're right though. They won what 4 out of the 7 tournaments, so
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty dominating in
Yeah.
itself, regardless
So
of how many runs you're winning by. But for sure, that's pretty dominating.
right. So this I prefer this much better where it's like their games are close, you truly don't know. Everyone's kind of struggling with getting on base and moving. Everyone's kind of struggling with the same kinds of things. There's no one at this point, 3 months in, there's no one clear best team. It's really even and spread out. So I'm enjoying that. I'm gonna take the next good because I can't get over it. I think it's so freaking funny. Orbit's mascots, their spirit is unmatched. When I saw Brett at the moon, I lost it. I just find it so funny. Like I'm picturing it now. Like he's just standing there with his arms out because he can't put them down at his side, and he's just the freaking moon. You got Dylan as an astronaut. Like I think that's just funny and creative, and definitely adds spirit. And I thought it was good for everyone. Like I enjoyed it. It wasn't my team, obviously, but I was like, good for them. Like that's cool. Like they have friends and support. And again, he's just the freaking moon. I just thought that was hilarious. So,
It was hilarious.
yeah,
And I mean, he toughed it out for what 4 hours, right?
it was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's
definitely shout out to
dedication.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Like that's a real friend. That's a real one right there.
Listen,
And then Dylan too. He's in a freaking spacesuit. Like they're both hot as hell in those things, but they looked cool. Um, and they weren't all sweaty and a mess the way that I feel like I would have been in one of those
yeah.
outfits.
I feel like every team should have a mascot or
For real. Well,
or a shtick, or, because like obviously like Riptide, we have uh, the crown and the trident. I haven't seen the Black Knight sword. Are you guys bringing it to the fields?
okay, first of all, we always have our swords. Second
Oh,
of all, our mascot was a bunch of 10-year-olds. Okay, and
oh.
I don't know where they went, and I don't know.
Well,
And last
they're in
year,
East Rockaway, so they're not
no,
in.
no, they weren't. They were not in East Rockaway. They were in East Northport for sure, 1,000,000%.
Oh, these were
The,
different kids.
no, these
They were
were
the
the kids that
same? No way.
same. They weren't the same kids. There was never kids in East Rockaway. It was definitely East Northport, both times. And the kids that
No,
were screaming.
there were kids in Bay Park. 100%. 100%.
Okay, well the OG kids,
Watch my videos. They're literally.
but the OG kids were in that were like screaming about the Black Knights and then cheering on Joe Marv randomly. Were there could have been two sets of kids.
Yeah, I think so.
This is last year. I'm talking last year.
I know. Check the videos. All right. Bad. Um, yeah. Not sure if what the solution is to this, but the timing, the time schedule, right? Like I know we can't start exactly at 7 because of traffic and people get here late. So I think we started the tournament around what 7:10 might have been. And a lot of these games, especially these close games, are ending in 5 innings out of 6. And it's really disheartening because these games matter. These games are close. These games are deciding who's going to make the playoffs and what position they're in. So you'd like to see the games play out. You know, it's really
Yeah.
like we need like literally just 5 more minutes each game, totaling 15 minutes. I think to get that to be sure that you can get that last sixth inning in to really decide. Because when you have two good teams, it takes 6 innings. So I think that is a problem that I don't know how it gets solved. And also, if there's a little bit more time, you don't get that game delaying that we talked about earlier. Because that way it's pretty obvious who's the better team most of the time after 6 innings, and there's no strategy to the clock running out.
Yeah. I'm not. They made a post recently about time and how captains voted or something about certain things, and um, I don't know. I don't know what the exact answer is there. I guess just running a tighter ship and people moving from field to field um, quicker or setting things up quicker. I know that they wanted to, apparently, it took a long time for the finals. I know that they wanted to move further into the light, which I thought was a nice idea, but apparently it took a long time to set up that field. So, yeah, I definitely want to see games be fully played out. I mean, personally, and here I go, but the orbit game with you guys is ridiculous to me. It's 2 more outs. I would have fought that. I would have fought that if I was your team, and if I was the captain of the other team, especially if the umpire was my rumored best friend from childhood or whatever it is. I'd be like, no, let's finish the game. Like I would never want to let the game run out on time when there's 2 outs left. Like finish the game. The better team is going to win, and that's okay. So I think that needs to be. Um, I think that needs to be remedied um, for sure. And we're going to get to that with the umpiring and the change with pace of play. But I think that you have to finish the inning. I don't think that should be a strategy to, like, if you've got 2 outs left, like if it's the beginning of an inning and they have 1 out or even two, like you're pretty much done with that entire inning. Not done with the top, like almost through the bottom. So I just thought that was ridiculous, and I would have fought so much harder. And I get that the result didn't matter at the end of the day, but it's a principle of the fact that you guys were cheated. You were the better team. You scored those 2 runs, um, and to have an umpire say like time ran out. I think he said 35 minutes, or it was he said something about 35, and I wasn't sure if it was the time, like it was 8:35 or 9:35 or 10:35, whatever it is, or if it was 35 minutes. To which 40 is a hard stop, but like you have two outs left, which could be roughly 15 seconds. Like let's
Yeah,
be real.
yeah,
So that's very frustrating to me, and I think that really needs to be addressed. And I think that's like kind of disgraceful for umpiring. Like that Nick's very nice, obviously, but like come on, do the right thing. Do the right
yeah.
thing. And then also don't give anyone anything to talk about with you being friends with Gio. You know, like do the right thing. There's 2 outs left. They're already doing some bullshit. Just let the game finish. And again, I was asked this, what would you would have done? I would have I would have been
I
like, if it was my team, I would have been like, we lost. Like let the everyone just pop out and let's just take the L. And also, by the way, what pisses me off is that you were up by 2. They had 3 outs to get 3 runs, and you just give up. Like get the 3 runs. Like why is the mentality let me cheat, let me be cheap?
yeah,
Like three runs, and it was Jimmy who's a stud with line drives. He can get on. then Brittany, who can move him over. You got one out. I don't know who was next in their lineup. I actually wanted to prepare this before coming on here for this rant that I've had, that I knew I was going to have. But like, trust in your team, believe in your team. They could have got 3 runs in an inning, in a half an inning, you know. So I just think that that's ridiculous, and I think that Carlos should have fought it if he didn't. I don't know if he knew at the time that it wouldn't matter, and Gio should have like spoken up and been like, no, this isn't right. Like, let's just finish the game. It's how are you gonna finish the game with 2 outs left? I just can't.
Yeah, no one really wants to see a game end at the beginning of the bottom of the inning. That's never a good way. It's never a good feeling. Um, yeah, I think if the games were no new inning after 40 minutes and hard cap at the 45, I think if you can make that work, I think that solves a lot. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, there is more bad. So,
Stay
um,
tuned.
yeah. So this kind of bothers me a lot. So there is a lot of new talent. There's a lot of new female talent specifically, and I don't feel, and this is just my opinion, that they're being shaped in a sense of learning fundamentals and I just don't think they're being put in the best positions. I think that some people overlook what girls can do on the field. I think that there's different ways to captain different people, and I've had private conversations with some people, so I'm not really saying this out of the blue. And it kind of bothers me because I enjoy helping the new generation of talent um, come in and stamp their plant their flag and make their mark. And it's frustrating for people just to pass off of a new talent as not good because they don't know the basics. You got to teach them. Got to have some patience with some of these players. It's
Right.
better to build up the players that you're with than to consistently change every tournament just because they didn't
Right.
work out in one game. I see some people complaining about a player, and it's really they just had one bad game. Like it's not the player has a lot of potential. So it's just one of those things that grinds my gears that I see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be more candid than you. So, there's new female talent, right? That is explosive on the scene. And we're talking about Kayla, we're talking about Allie, we're talking about China. Um, and these are girls who, to your point, might plateau because they don't know what to do. Like I know last year Allie was a bit frustrated because she didn't know what to do. She was told like multiple different things and she couldn't really get a grip or get her footing on what she should be doing. She kind of knew like do something with the ball and be fast because that's her reality. Like run to the base, like whether it's a bump, whether it's a kick away, whether it's like she was being told so many different things, and I think that frustrated her. And I feel like I'm so happy she's still playing. I'm happy she's playing with Orbit. She's a sweetheart. But I heard rumors last year of her maybe not wanting to play anymore, or maybe wanting to drop, or like maybe this isn't for her. And it's just like she's not getting the leadership and the reinforcement to be able to feel useful she's a machine, that girl. She's a true athlete. Um, and then we've got the reason that this came up is because China got drafted. Some other girls were in the pool and bitter that they didn't get drafted. And it's just like, you know, we have to be teaching people. And I know, like, for our team, in retrospect, for me, I was looking back. I'm like, why did China play bump block ever? Like, that is such an LI kick position. Like, put her at shortstop. That is a position that is, you know, traditional time and true to baseball, softball, kickball. Like that is a position that she'd be more familiar with than bump block. Everyone's always so lost at bump block. Like, what do I do? How do I, what is my responsibility here? And it is a huge responsibility, especially for the sacrifices. So in retrospect, for me, she kind of, anytime people who are new get thrown into bump block, I feel like it lowers their confidence. They don't know, what they're supposed to be doing. And, next tournament, I'm definitely going to make sure that this input is shared. Obviously, people are going to be listening, to have her not be there and have maybe Kako there or someone who's more of a veteran to be able to play that role. And the same for catcher, like these are things that we're telling people to do and they don't quite know how to do it. And it could just lower their confidence, lower their self-efficacy. They could plateau and bottom out or get discouraged. And it's not building their talent. It's kind of crushing it in a way. So.
It's trying to fit people into a box that they don't fit into.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I see it. And when they feel uncomfortable being shoved into a box that they know they don't really, or maybe they don't know, maybe they do know they don't belong in that box, it gets very frustrating, and then it's a natural response to be like, you know what, this is not for me. So you don't want to see that happen in this format. Okay, I guess one last thing, and it's something that kind of affected both of us, right, in different ways.
Yep.
The C4 jerseys. Now, I know that you have a different take or experience with your C4 jersey, which I'll let you get into. But, for me, I was the first year there was no C4 sponsorship. The second year there was. I didn't get a jersey, which is fine. Maybe I didn't deserve it. I'm not really mad about that. But this year I was kind of happy to be recognized as an MVP of the first tournament, which I feel is kind of a big deal because one, the first tournament you get to play every team, so your performance gets measured against everyone. So I kind of held that in a little higher regard personally. And then I didn't get one, so I did speak to Sal about it. He told me that they didn't have them for that tournament, but they didn't really follow up with me about even getting one. So hopefully that gets rectified. But the DC4 jersey, it's more than just the jersey. I think it's the recognition that some people, whether they believe they want it or surprised that that it affects them that much. I think it's important to players and it sticks with them. And you kind of get inducted in kind of like a special circle of people who've been MVPs of semi-pro, right? There's only 7 of them every year. Was there one given in October? I don't think there was. So
no, there wasn't.
There wasn't, right? So it's something that I think that Sal needs to kind of be a little more aware of how important it is to people to be recognized on the biggest stage that we have here on the island. What do you think?
Yeah, I think overall, like, he to say like, oh, we didn't have the jerseys. Well, now you do. So now you should get one. Like there's a lot of that with like there's a lot of gap time between updating the website and updating with pictures and like this is both their full-time jobs. So having more sense of urgency and immediacy with updates and continuity. You got a cooler. I thought that was so weird. I'm still not over it because like who brought a cooler as like this is going to be the thing for the MVP, but it's like there was never a gift previously. Or a prize rather, and then there were the jerseys, and there's just that's my biggest struggle with LA Kick is that like the continuity is rough. Like this month or this season we did this, but then the next season without even saying a word, we just don't do that anymore. Like there's no
you want some transparency, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
okay. Hold on, it's okay to like not have the jerseys, right? But like just say that and people will understand. It's not like we are children. Like just be like, hey, you know what, we're not having with our actual jerseys, right? Like it's okay. Like if you don't have them, just be transparent. Like, hey, it's coming next week or next month and we'll have it, we'll make it up to you.
Right.
We don't like, it's not like
right.
life or death, but like you want you. I think it's important that LI Kick, and they lack it, but there should be some transparency. Like that goes a long way with your customers and having faith. You know, your customers having faith in the company.
Right. And it's transparency and it's making it right. So like having clear communication, you know, updating about changes, because you're right, things change, that's okay, but letting us know about it. We're the customers of this product, right? And so making it right and caring. So there's like apathy. There's, I don't know if it's laziness or apathy, but it's just kind of it sends a message of like, we're a monopoly on Long Island. We could do what we want, whether I do this today or next week. Like, and that might not be the case. Huge company, very busy, but like the sense of urgency and the sense of like making things right, um, just isn't there, and it sucks. So for me, with my C4 jersey and my issue with the C4 jerseys, like the C4 jerseys, me and Tyler were the first C4 energized players of the tournament. And the C4 jerseys originally were, you know, they were a color. They were like, either some people have pink, some people have a reddish color, and um, you know, they have the names on the back. There's no more names on the back now. So it's not as special because your name's not on the back. Now it's advertising a new flavor, which, hey, okay, I get it. You have this partnership. We need to be advertising for them, walking advertisements. So it doesn't even have our name on the back anymore. For me personally, my name is Margaret Diffusa. Everyone calls me Meg. People in kickball call me Kitty. If anyone who doesn't know why any of this is, ask me at another time. It's a whole story. But my, you know, my last name is D'Souza. It says it on the back of every jersey that I have. My C4 jersey, which I do hold in high regard. I was the first with Tyler, the first female to be an energized player of the tournament. It says Kitty space S. Now the S is the size for small, but Kitty is not my name, right? Like, sure, it's my, like Tyler's didn't say Tyler. I'm pretty sure it says his last name. Um, and so I even brought that to their attention, and Gio was like, "Yeah, no, not getting you another one." Like, so I brought it to his attention because I don't think I realized it fully, or like I was just so happy to win, whatever. Um, to have gotten hit that. But when I told him, he was like, "Oh, it's too late," and I was like, "What do you mean it's too late? Like this was your mistake. This was your mess up. Like own it, take accountability, and again, make it right for your customer." So that just rubs me the wrong way. So it's a big inside joke. Kitty ass kitties. Um, but you know, putting the name on the back of the jersey was special, and I just feel like the quality of things goes down. The specialness goes away. I mean, let's even talk about, you know, Sal has something really special here, and I don't know if he thinks that people don't notice or people don't care. But I was talking about with people the first year, whether it was color smoke bombs or balloons, or he did some different gimmick every time a team won, and I looked forward to it. I was like, what is this guy going to do next? Like, what is the creative thing he's going to do? And we didn't do that all last year. We don't do that now. So it's like, you know, those little things matter. And I don't want them to lose sight of that, and I don't want them to get apathetic with the transparency or making things right, or the, you know, sense of urgency in the updates or the information or the website or the email or whatever it is. People look forward to this stuff, and you know, it all matters.
Yeah,
So
and we are critical because we want it to succeed. We all
absolutely,
want to win. You know, we're not just complaining just because we're want to be negative people. Like I noticed some other people are just generally negative. No, we're criticizing because we know it it was great. It can be great. You know, it needs to be
yeah,
great. And
yeah,
you know, as someone who has been around for 10 years, and I like it. You know, I've seen a lot, and I have a lot of opinions, and it should be valued. And I'm not saying it's not, but like it should be heard. So
right.
we're gonna
Consistency is important. You know, people knowing what they can expect, your customers knowing what they can expect is important. You know, I walk into a Target, I know what to expect. There's not going to be, you know, holes in the floor that I have to, you know, walk around or make sure I don't fall in. There's not going to be leaks from the ceiling. Like there's going to be a quality product. There's going to be staff, employees who are there to help me. There's going to be, bathrooms. There might be food there. Like there's consistency in every target, right? In every league, it's different. In every, semi-pro, it's a little bit different. Like there's a certain decline in some aspects, and the consistency is important. So, and again, we do want it to succeed, um, and it's a beautiful thing, semi-pro. I like kick,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
so.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot said there. I know people are complaining how long this is, so you're welcome. It's going to be even longer.
Won't
Okay.
those two shut up?
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one.
Next one, and which is umpiring, and I don't necessarily have too much to comment on the quality of umpiring. Maybe you'll touch on that. I kind of really want to talk about some things that I've thought of, and I want to share that. So the first thing I've noticed, because there's been a rotating roster of umpires. I get it. Some people are busy. Some people don't want to do it. That's fine. But I believe there should be a cheat sheet. You know, certain things that are common that comes up in semi-pro, specifically, that needs to be highlighted. Pace of play, right? I see it even in the last tournament. You have umpires that are giving warnings for pace of play. There is no warning. Everyone who plays, especially all the captains, know that it's pace of play from the start. A ball rolls over the plate without bouncing or spinning or curving, it's a strike. It's not a warning, it's strike one. Just other little things too that needs to be kind of pointed out is I think is really important and I think very helpful and might help the confidence of the umpires coming in that are maybe their first time umping semi-pro or maybe their first time umping any competitive games. So I leave it to whoever's in charge of the umpires to like create that, but there should definitely be a cheat sheet. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but I don't feel like there is because I see that all the time with the pace of play warnings. You know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it would be helpful tool, um, to be able to guide umpires, especially since some are new, with some of the rules of semi-pro. I'm sure there's other rules or other, things that are different in the semi-pro space that umpires might not fully be aware of. But but yeah, I thought the umpiring was good. Hopper, Dylan, Nick, I thought it was a pretty solid job. I think that the video challenges continue to do well and be well, and they're being embraced and utilized correctly. I do think, though, and I'm going to come back to it, I'm not over it, I don't care. This is my show. Listen to me on what I say. But, umpiring recognizing delay of game. Like, umpires don't realize league play, and it doesn't happen so much in semi-pro, but in league play, we definitely had issues with umpires, like, taking control of the field. Like, they are meant to de-escalate situations. They are meant to identify situations and de-escalate them. They're meant to, keep the field calm, cool, and collected. And again, we saw that um, there was some manipulation, and nothing was said about it. Um, which also brings us to another point that Sal should really adopt and change. Um, you should be able to be struck out on a third piece of
Yes.
play strike.
Yes.
Absolutely. Like, for
Yes.
what purpose? Especially since we're on a time crunch. Sal wants to talk about time, 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 time. Like, sure, we are in a time crunch, so you absolutely should be uh, struck out on a third perfect pitch. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't understand why that's a thing. That's a thing in league play. Cool. League play is different. In semi-pro, I really think they should change that, because it was manipulated. It was admitted that it was utilized as a tactic, but also just generally, like, if you have strikes coming down the plate and you choose not to take them, it's like, what's the dealio? Why? There's no, and again, especially since say it till we're blue in the face. We're on a time crunch.
Right. And the whole idea of pace of play strikes is to, discourage delaying the game. But if I have two strikes already, then there's no I can just delay the game as long as I want. And I know that came up in the first year, and we're like, well, we'll just give the player a yellow card. But like, it didn't happen. I don't think umpires want to give a yellow card for
Right.
that. It's too much of a gray area for them to give a yellow card. And I just think that, there's no need for that. There's not one reason that I can think of to not do that. I mean, maybe you can say that, like, if there's two strikes, now the pitcher's inclined to try to be manipulative with the pitch to get that strikeout. I mean, I guess maybe you can kind of like really like twist like a pretzel to kind of make that
Mm-hmm.
point. But I just
Right.
just just don't think if the only reason is that like, well, that's what we do in league play, then that's not really a good reason because
Right.
we have 100 different reasons why it should be a third strike, and I think that should really be considered. Now it's up to the captains and I think the player liaison, which is Bobby, right? I believe that's Bobby is the player liaison. So maybe they'll bring it up. Maybe they've already brought it up. I don't know. I know I personally brought it up to Sal. I don't think he was really interested, but this is what I believe. So I think that
Right.
would kind of help. It's not the
Well,
ultimate answer, but I think it would help.
also too, in terms of like again consistency, continuity. Um, there was clear delay of game in Orbit versus Riptide. And then in the finals, which is being rushed along every 5 seconds, right? It's oh, we're not gonna be able to finish this inning. Oh, we're not gonna this. We're not gonna, you have poor Mike Barbour who gets a delay of game strike from Sal of all people, who's not even. This is a separate issue. He's not even. You're a player tonight. You're on Rough Riders. You're on the sidelines watching. Well, we took off our player hat. Now we have our LA Kick hat on, and we're suddenly now also becoming an umpire and dictating pace of play, not pace of play, excuse me, delay of game. So it's like boot camp got a delay of game, and I get there was confusion. Kyle called to take it out, and his team all yelled at him. Was like, "What are you doing? We're not taking it out." And there was a bit of a delay,
I was also
but
yelling at him too.
yeah, I'm sure everyone was yelling at him. But it's like it's interesting. Like if delay of game exists as a strike, then in Orbit in that game, Jimmy should have got his third strike. He should have been out, right?
Yeah.
So just food for thought. It's like it happens sometimes, but it doesn't happen other times, and that should also go maybe on that cheat sheet, that umpiring cheat sheet. Like these are things that are happening that need to be squelched. So
Right, and the pace of play stuff that doesn't happen every game, every tournament. It's a very rare that happens, but you still want to discourage that. So
right.
this is a very anecdotal situation, but it still is a crappy situation. So
Right. Hopefully it's the one and only. Hopefully we don't see this again from anybody because it's unsportsmanlike and it's and it again it just takes away from the team. I would expect teams from last year, the year before, who couldn't get a win to maybe squeak by with something like that. But I don't expect that from this team. I expect more.
yeah.
Um,
Is there anything
and
else or
yeah, the last thing just to mention, right? I think it's interesting because just to mention there was one yellow card, right? John Bell got a yellow card for boot camp in the semifinal game against Riptide, and it had to do with his slide, and I think that there was some pretty body heavy slides all throughout that game on both teams. I think that Bell was called on it because Taft went down, whereas DJ did not go down and Kyle did not go down for Sergio's two slides before that. I think for sliding and getting a card, it's more so about the results. And if the results of the slide, because Sergio, his slide through second, he was like on a slip and slide. His whole body kind of went through like he was on a slip and slide. But Kyle, he didn't clip Kyle, and he also didn't clip DJ very much. But Taft went down, so I think that people just be mindful of your slides. Slide early. Really, you're supposed to slide in advance and just get your toe on a corner of it. You don't need your full body to go through, So it's all about timing. Um, but everyone just be careful out there because that can get dangerous. So
Okay, so that basically wraps up our recap. I'm pretty sure it was double the length of the first episode, but hey, that's we have a lot to say and we're gonna say it. So that's the platform that we've created here. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you're still awake from all our rants.
yeah. Also, by the way, it was two sets of kids. I asked Jomar if you were right, and I was right. It was two different kids, but there was definitely Bay Park kids who were heavy into Black Knights, and then there was the kids at Northport.
Yeah, low key loved silencing them in the October finale. One of my
Yeah,
highlights.
yeah, we
Yeah,
did do that.
yeah.
We did do that.
Okay, so that was our recap for the May Semi Pro tournament. It's definitely a lot to break down.
Yeah, let's now get into our first interview of the show. This interview is special to both of us. This is someone who we both have been following on their kickball journey, their kickball career. But this is someone that I encouraged to join semi pro. So, because I had sent her a message and asked her why she's not playing, and I spoke with her in depth about it, and then she signed up, and now she's been playing. This is her third tournament. I'm very excited for all of you to hear what she has to say.
Welcome, Amanda. We are so happy to have you on. So, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
For everyone out there who may not know you, what sports do you play and what leagues do you play in?
I play kickball mostly in East Meadow. I started Deer Park last season. I did a little bit of Glen Cove and Freeport. I tried bowling, not my strong suit, but still fun. I've done little like volleyball events, but I'm mostly a kickball person.
Okay, and when did you start with LA Kick?
I started in October of 2024.
Oh, wow. Super new. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, I really wanted to interview. Amanda was my choice for the interview. And, I really wanted to get her perspective on semi pro and kickball because I know that she is a relatively new player. I've seen her progress as a player competitively. And I think that is going to be, she's going to have some good things to say, some interesting to say. And I think that veterans want to hear that. I know new players might be in her situation, and I think that might help them progress in their journey for kickball. So let me start this off with my question. Now, is there anything specific that you've learned from those three semi-pros that you played in that you might not have learned in league play?
Um, that's a tough one. I feel like I learned to like lock in more. Like I feel like you're kind of like in the regular league, you're really just like more for the vibes.
Yeah.
I feel like I kind of learned how to take it more seriously. Um, because I feel like it is like the most competitive version of kickball. Um, yeah, I would say like trying to like focus more on like where to land the kicks. I have to remember that the catchers are actually good and I like need to kick farther. Stuff like that. Like I can't just like do like cutesy little stuff during the games. Like I actually have to try harder because everyone's at pretty much the same level.
Yeah. I think the mental aspect, is what you said first, is really important because I've always said kickball is mostly mental. And I think that locking in aspect is really important because you can't really mess around because you don't have really time to mess around. You don't have a lot of opportunities really in a game. You might kick twice in one game. So I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, the margin for error is very slim. So,
Yeah.
like you were saying, with like these cutesy little things, these things that you can get away with
Yeah.
in the leagues, can't get away with in semi pro. So that leads into my question, my first question. So, We had just talked about you're a relatively new player, and you've had the good fortune and privilege of playing with some of the real kickball OGs on Rough Riders. We've got Sal, Boer, and of course Jimmy Henn. So tell us what that's been like for you.
Um, I feel like it's kind of like I'm playing with like my older brothers and sisters. Like I feel like they have my back. I'm not intimidated by my team. Like going into semi-pro, I was like, oh no, like what if I get like pushed around a little because I'm newer? But like everyone's been so supportive. I didn't know Jimmy Henn before semi-pro, so I was very surprised he recruited me because I was like, how does he know who I am? That's crazy. But like I've played with Sal before during like the late fall draft. Um so I guess that was like a connection that I had. But yeah, it's been really fun. They've all been very supportive. They saw my potential and they took me on. So it's been fun. I like playing with veterans because it's like I learn from them too. So it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, awesome. So my next question is, we all know you as a catcher, but I feel like you play other positions. But like, how important do you feel a catcher is in semi-pro, and what other positions are you looking to transition into and feel confident in?
I feel like with catcher, people kind of overlook it. Not necessarily in semi-pro. Semi-pro, it's like people know the catcher's important. But like in the regular season, I feel like it's just like, oh, let's put the worst player there and they'll just stand there and not do anything. So when you actually try catching and get the bunts, then people are like, now I know why this is an important position. I feel like with semi-pro, it's really important because you're forcing people to kick. Because like people will come up to me like, oh no, you're catching. Like I can't kick like, too shallow now. So, I like that, but I also have branched out. I've done rover, I've done outfield. I started experimenting with that, I would say in like the early fall and this past season because I captained my own team in East Meadow. So I was like putting myself in like other positions that I've never done before, like the outfield. And I really enjoyed it because I feel like even if I don't make a catch, I feel like I'm good at recovering and running the ball in and like preventing people from advancing to the next base. So I feel like I have that as a safety net. And I would hope to play more infield or even in the outfield in the future semi pro tournaments because I know I shouldn't just be a catcher. I know I have like other little talents. So I hope that people start to see that because I don't want to be like put in a box, like the catcher box, and then I just stay there. Like I
Right.
do love catching, but I want to branch out more.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I feel like I'm gonna do a follow up because we had similar questions. Um, but I know Jimmy's moved you all around, all the ladies, because he's got some options there. Out of the typical female positions, which would be pitching, short, second, bump block, what have you enjoyed most outside of catching?
um I would say rover, like the bump block. Going in and out from infield to outfield, I really enjoy. Like I like backing up the outfield. I know I'm tiny and I'm a woman, but like that doesn't mean anything. I feel like people try to target me out there, but like I can make catches. I swear, guys.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and you're fast.
I love being out there. It's really fun. The total opposite side of the catcher. So
Yeah, yeah,
There is a lot of pressure to that though, because if you're
there
playing
is.
outfield, there's no one to back you up. So
Yes.
you make that last mistake, and
Mhm.
everyone's looking at you sideways. But yeah, I'm glad to
For
hear that
sure.
because I think the league does need more lady outfielders. Maybe we're not there yet, but I think that
Yeah.
when you get the combination of someone who has the tenacity to know the play is not over, even if you don't make a catch, obviously the speed is going to play a role in being able to move around the outfield. And just I mean, I think arm strength is also pretty important. Like it's overlooked a lot in outfield, so I think like those three things are kind of important. And eventually, we'll see more girls play that outfield position, but I don't think we're there yet. But
Yeah.
I am glad to see people striving for that.
Mhm.
So moving to my my last question, um, what do you feel is the best and worst part of semi-pro?
I feel like the best part is being able to meet new people. I've barely knew anyone. Like, I feel like all of the Suffolk County people I didn't know. So I just felt like a little baby, like, hi, I'm here, and I like don't know anybody. So trying to like put my feet in the water and meet new people was like a good experience because then now I'm starting to get more comfortable with my team and like versing other people. I think the worst part is just like the pressure. Like I'm so hard on myself all the time. Like I could have a pretty good night and people would be like, "Wow, that was a good night for you." And I'd be like, "Nope, could have done better. That sucked." Like I'm just like so hard on myself. So I feel like just the added pressure of trying to do good, especially if I do move into a different position than catcher, I feel like all eyes are going to be on me because it's like, oh, she's a catcher, like, and now she's in the infield or outfield. Like, can she even do that? So I feel like it's the pressure that gets to me.
Yeah, you definitely get quick to be typecasted in kickball.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started playing kickball, I was an outfielder. Then I transitioned to playing third out of necessity, and I did that long enough, and people forgot that I was an outfielder. So it takes a little bit to kind of, break that stigma of who you are. But you make a few plays, and people will start to notice really quick. I also want to say too that it's funny that this is the most competitive um, form of kickball that we have, and yet the social aspect of it is so strong. So
Mm-hmm.
you can have competitive kickball and social aspects combined. And I think that's important to kind of note.
Yeah, absolutely. Two things can exist at the same time.
Exactly.
So, my last question for you on this wave of meeting new people and you being newer and being primarily Nassau based, right? So you're getting exposure. There's a whole other side of kickball if you play just Nassau, right? There's Suffolk folks. If you play mostly Suffolk, there's Nassau people. And so my question to you is, who is a player currently in semi-pro who you'd like to play with in the future? So you've met and seen a lot of new people on all different
Mm-hmm.
teams. So who's someone who you've seen who you're like, ooh, I want to play with you?
That's a good one because I always think about this too. Um, I'll try to do one female, one male.
Fair.
I feel like for female, I would say Janine because she's really freaking good. I've only versed her like, well, with Riptide, I versed Riptide, but like I think I versed her in like Turkey Bowl like a while ago, like, like a little tournament. But yeah, she's
But you
really
remembered
good.
her. Yeah, you remembered her. They stick out,
Yeah,
right?
like
The
she's
people.
good. So I
Hmm.
would want to play with her. Um, guy wise, I'm still trying to learn names, but trying to think of each team.
You can give descriptors. We know everyone. You can be like that guy who's on that team who does
uh,
this.
oh boy. I feel like the women really stand out to me, so I'm just always like, yes, I know who she is. Um, because there's so many like
Same.
good men.
Yeah.
I would say, oh, Sergio. Sergio's really good. I've met
Hmm.
him through my boyfriend because I think he
Hmm.
was on his draft team. I've only like subbed for my boyfriend's team, so I met Sergio that way. But he's really
Hmm.
good too. So yeah, I would say
Yeah.
him.
Well, I think we're gonna make your dream come true. I'm pretty sure for Carpe Diem, aren't we all playing together?
I can't do Carpe Diem. I
Ah,
wish I would
dang, you're right. You're
have
right. We asked
Way
you.
to way to put her on the spot on live.
I
Sorry. I was
know. No,
so
it's
sure. I was like,
fine.
wait, we're all playing together. No, but we had asked you and you can. You have something that
Yeah.
weekend, but
Because
another
Janine asked
tournament.
me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
honored. Like that's so nice of you to reach out." So yeah, I wish
Another
I'd put in
time in the
a time crunch.
future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for me. But we do have to ask our token question.
Oh boy.
So we like to call the welcome to semi-pro moment. It's basically the moment, play, realization that you're playing in this highly competitive league, and like maybe after a playoff you made, like you realize that I belong here, and this is like there's nothing else like that in LI Kick. So like, do you first of all, have you had that moment? And if you had, what was that moment or play?
Like a welcome to semi-pro moment?
Yep, like a welcome
Like
to
a
semi.
good play. Or
Like a play that happened and you go like, wow, that was really good, and like I belong here, or like, wow, this is really different, and like I'm here to play and here to win.
yeah.
It can be different from people, but like it's definitely something that sticks out in your mind that like this is different. This is
Yeah, your first realization that all
Yeah.
right, this is it.
I think I had two moments. I think
Ooh,
when I versed Black Knights in the finals, I got Chris. I think his name's
Chris
Chris. I got
Basilico,
his
yeah.
bunt, but it
yes,
was so far
yes.
by first base, and I was like, "Damn, I got that!" And like everyone was screaming.
That
I was
was
like,
one of
Yeah.
my
"Oh,
highlights. That was
okay."
one of my highlights, by the way. Is out there. Amanda versus Chris down the first base line. Amanda with the gutsy call off from her bump block to make the dive and roll to capture the 2 strikes.
Yeah. So like that made my night. And then I would say the last tournament when I kicked it, I think in between when we were versing Orbit. I kicked it in between Geo and the pitcher Chris. And Joe D was able to run home. So it was just like being able to find that spot and getting him home and scoring a run felt good.
Yeah.
So some of the girls on my team were like screaming, like, "Yeah, girl, you got it!" I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, thanks!" Like they were
Awesome.
Yeah.
hyping me up, and it just made me feel good.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Girls can do more than just sacrifice. We can get on and we can bring in RBIs. So I know that
Yep.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Awesome. Definitely. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for coming on with us. I think this was
Yeah.
really informative. I enjoyed talking to you. I think the league is gonna enjoy listening to this and getting to know you just a little bit more, and definitely respecting you as a competitor on the field.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We'll see you turf side.
Yeah, we will.
Bye.
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 Okay, so that was our first interview, and so happy that we got a chance to interview her because I feel like a lot of people don't really get to hear her speak. So yeah, next we get into our ahead of the game segment. This topic I'm covering happens all the time. I wanted to put out a basic guide of when to tag up and when to not. I hope this helps. Here it goes.
Eyes on the ball, take your mark and stand tall. Plant your foot hard, make that perfect contact call. Explode through the plate with a powerful force. Set your kick on an unstoppable course. Repetition builds the muscle memory. Unleash your full athletic energy. Master the fundamentals, ignite the flame. Prepare for the challenge ahead of the game.
In this first example, the runner is on first and the ball is hit deep to right field. Since the ball is hit behind the runner at first, or at least not in the direction they're running to, they are supposed to hold on the base to prepare to tag up. Once the ball is touched by the defense, the runner is free to advance to the base, sprinting towards second. Similar setup as the first situation, runners on first. Ball is instead hit to left field or center field. Runner has to run halfway and either anticipate or wait to see if the ball is caught or dropped. If the ball is caught, runner must retreat back to first. If the ball is dropped, obviously proceed to second. In this situation, we have runners on first and second. Balls hit to right field or right center field. Runner on second should tag and advance once the ball is touched. The runner coming from first should approach halfway with caution and should retreat unless the ball is thrown across to the field to third base. There it is. let's see if people play these situations better.
Yeah, going halfway is absolutely necessary to see if it's a catch or a drop. You hate to see poor base running and those split second judgments causing it out at the next base. But we're going to segue into our second interview. I'm happy to introduce this next interviewee. She's another person whose kickball career we've seen progress over the years. She's someone we've played with, we've partied with, we've played against, and she's a well known figure in the LI Kick community. We had a meaningful conversation sharing perspectives, ideas, and reminiscing about days of semi pro kickball past.
For our next interview, we have someone who doesn't need any introduction. She runs, she's an LD for the Ultimate Frisbee League on Sundays in Ronkonkoma, and she is an LD for the Wednesday Hexture Kickball League. This is her third year of semi-pro, and she is the co-captain of the Orbit team. Welcome, Taylor Torres, to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Woo! Taylor was my choice of guest. Like Deone was saying, she's heavily involved in the LI Kick scene and the LI Social League. She plays 7 leagues during the week, which is nuts. 5 kickball, 1 frisbee, 1 dodgeball. You're just about that life. So everyone knows you, and plus the 3 of us won the grand finale last year on Rough Riders. And I did want to talk to someone from Orbit. We're trying to have a very well-rounded representation, and you being the co-captain, you're just an all-around solid choice. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
Deone,
guys.
your first question.
So, the first year of semi-pro, you were on a team called the Cavalry. That struggled. And the second year, you were on a team called the Wolfpack. That also struggled. Until you got traded along with me to the Rough Riders, who then proceeded to win the grand finale. Now that you're a co-captain of Orbit, that has been pretty successful in the last 3 tournaments, with 2 tournament final appearances, are there any strategies, techniques that you built, or confidence that you built over the time that kind of lead to the success you're having now?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, definitely. I think in general, who you play with and how often you play with them makes a big difference for me, anyways. You know how certain people play, you know where they're going to be. Um, I think that helps a lot. I think that probably like helped me make decisions for our team.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And I think that that's a big advantage that you guys have is that you play with some of those similar people, like on Calvary, on Wolfpack, even on Rough Riders. You don't really play, like coming together to play one time a month could be hit or miss. So
Yeah,
you guys definitely have that that going for you over many of the other teams for sure. That kind
yeah,
of
I think
synergy.
I think on the Cavalry and Wolfpack, we had so many random people in and out um, who I really didn't play with much ever. I don't think any of us ever really played together at all. So that was like kind of hard to gauge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've always said that it's a really hard balance when you're on a team and you're taking new players in every month. You know, like
Mhm.
I know it's like kind of like exciting to get like a good player coming in, but there is definitely a hard balance because I think that there's something to learning with the people that you are with, even if they're not the best on the field, but just getting the chemistry built up. I think that can sometimes supersede the new athlete that's coming in that maybe doesn't know who's he playing with, or basically the way the flow of semi pro is, because there's something to that, you know. So it's
Yeah.
definitely something that I've always like wondered, like what's the best.
Yeah. And it's hard to build momentum. I think that's something that Orbit definitely has. You guys have this momentum that is noticeable, that's building as you play together. Whereas it could be like a start stop for Calvary or for Wolfpack. And then for Rough Riders, I feel like I always fed off of just Jimmy's energy, having that strong leadership. So all different kinds of
Yeah.
qualities. So it's definitely, you could definitely tell, because we've played with you. Obviously, we've played with you in league play. We've played with you last year for the finale, but you seem to be in a comfortable, good place with the team to be able to grow
Mhm.
and build, which is important.
Yeah.
So my question, I'm gonna keep rolling with the past. Um, so could you give me one word to describe your experience on Cavalry, Wolfpack, Rough Riders, and Orbit?
Yeah.
So
So
one word
my
each.
for cavalry, I'll start there. I would say rookie. Um, when I got drafted for semi-pro, I was actually surprised. I kind of did it on a whim. I was just like, oh, like I got the email and I was like, I'll try, like whatever. I didn't think I was gonna get picked up. I really didn't know anyone. Um, I had only played in Deer Park, maybe Ronkonkoma. I might have just started there, but I only played in like two of the like leagues. I really didn't know anyone. I didn't know Joe D. Um, I want to say I knew one semi-pro captain. I think it was Carlos, and that was just from seeing him around. I think he subbed on my free agent team one time. Um, so when I got to semi-pro, it was like a lot for me. I barely knew how to kick the ball on the ground. Um, I was like just starting to like figure out how to play catcher. I really didn't know anyone. I was signed up for QIP with Joe. Tom had asked me to play with them, but I never played with Joe before, or any of them. I didn't know anyone on my team. I didn't know anyone on any team, really.
Yeah, you've come a long
So I think
way.
that was like, yeah, I think that was like a big, like, oh, okay, like this is what this is like moment. Like everyone knew everyone. Um, So that was like a really big like rookie season for me in general because I was really just like getting into things.
Right.
Yeah, it seemed like I feel like that was a good time to kind of jump in too because um, not that semi-pro was like I mean it was new and like people didn't really know what to expect, so people were I think were more apt to take chances on people, and I think that like
Yeah.
that probably made it a lot easier of a transition because it's kind of hard just to jump from like a Deer Park League to semi-pro, but since we were all kind of like learning what it semi-pro actually was, I think that
Mhm.
kind of definitely helped.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, hold on, I'm not done. Don't cut me off,
okay.
Deone. Wolfpack. What's your word for Wolfpack?
For Wolfpack, I put challenging. I think that it was hard because so I was on the cavalry with Joe and then he did ask me to be in his core for Wolfpack. I think it was like me, Will, Sarah, Priest. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting someone. I don't remember else who else was in the core, but it was the same. It was basically the same few people
Was
from
Brittany?
Cavalry. Brittany, I think we
Pretty.
picked her up.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think that she finished with Riptide, and we had picked her up in the draft, but I'm not 100% sure. Um, but it was definitely challenging. That was the team where I really felt like players were in and out each week. I mean, each month, sorry. I felt like we just kept on like we were losing and then we were trying to figure out why we were losing and we were trying to get people to like compensate for that. And we were all just frustrated. Everyone on the team was frustrated.
Right.
And you don't really get better when you're all frustrated. Um, so then
Yeah.
I feel like we weren't working well as a team together anymore. Um,
Yeah, you guys couldn't
so it
figure
was,
it out. You had a hard time
yeah, it was
figuring it out that
challenging.
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about for Rough Riders and now finally Orbit? If you had a word for
Rough
both of those.
Riders, I would say importance. I was looking for a better word, but importance feels good. I felt like really important on that team. I felt like every player felt important. Like nobody was just like on the team because we need someone. I feel like Jimmy did a really good job of making everyone feel like you're important and this is your job and like this is what I need you to do. Um, Especially in that like grand finale. like he asked me to kick behind him and I was like, "Ooh, that should be a guy usually." I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Like it's like a big role. I was very like nervous about that. But he like made it like very known, like you're important to this team. I need you to do it. Can you do it? And like it gives you confidence.
Mhm.
I mean, I
I
think
think
that
that
was the
he
difference. I think that was the difference,
yeah,
if you ask me.
Right.
yeah, I think he does a really good job of making everyone feel like really important. I feel like everybody on the team did. Um, I feel like we all had our differences at a point, and you guys did the same thing. You made me feel important on that team. Um, I feel like everybody felt like they had a role, and I feel like that's big on success and like doing well.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to feel like you're contributing. You got to feel like we're all
Yeah.
pieces to this important puzzle, like you're saying. Like we all are crucial to the, outcome that we all want.
Mhm.
And so now you've had quite, and that was another reason I chose you because I was thinking about different people who have a story to tell. There's some people on your team and wanting to interview someone from Orbit. Ali was on Riptide, she was on Rough Riders. Geo was on Riptide. But Will was on Calvary, then Wolfpack. But you've had a journey, so now you're finally at Orbit. So what is your word so far to describe your time on Orbit?
I would say vibes. I think that we as a team have great vibes, like from the start to the finish. Um, whether it's just like our group chat talking for the day, like we're just like having a good time, we're having great vibes. We get to the field, there's great vibes. We win, it's great vibes. We lose, it's still like great vibes.
Hmm.
I think that keeping like a positive energy like really does something for our team. Um, like we could have like someone could be feeling like they had a bad game, and like we just all like come together and like hype each other up. Um, the vibes are just always positive. I can't think of a like that's just like the best word I think.
Yeah. Awesome. And that's great that you talk in between tournaments and sometimes like
Yeah,
throughout the day because a lot of teams don't. A lot of teams it's
I've
crickets in
realized
between
that.
tournaments. Yeah, so that's awesome. And obviously you have vibes. You had, the freaking moon hanging out on your
Oh
sideline.
yeah,
So
the moon, the
A
astronaut.
and
drunk, a drunk,
astronaut.
a
Well,
drunk astronaut.
yeah,
Yes, with the, what
yeah,
that's what keeps us going. I mean, and like like those kind of things do like
yeah, no,
contribute to
it's
the vibes. Like, like how can we make this like more fun for everyone? Like, let's buy a moon costume, let's buy an astronaut costume, let's find people who can like fill this role and like get us hyped up. Like, it works. Like
yeah,
it feels good to be there.
yeah. Support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's kind of switch gears a little bit. Um, what should a new sign up or player who's been basically treading water in the pool do to catch your eye to be considered to be picked up, whether it's supplemental or actually drafted onto the team?
Um, so I would say, I mean, like I know this is hard for people because, everybody has jobs, everybody has lives, nobody wants to play 7 leagues like I do, but I think that the more you play in different leagues, maybe somewhere that's not near you usually, the more people you meet, the more you are playing, the more you're talked about. Um, I feel like I've had people ask me, how they could get on a good team, like someone who's been playing free agent, let's say on Sundays for a long time, and they want to be on a real team, but they have to keep on like signing up free agent. I feel like I've talked to a lot of people like that, and I feel like the answer is to play in a different league. Try out like Freeport. There's probably people who play out west that don't know you exist, and you could be an amazing player, but if people don't know you, like that is a big thing. Or maybe you're just not like maybe play more often, sub when people need a sub, because there might be a captain of a semi-pro team on that team that asked you to sub, and they don't know you, but you could be a great player.
Yeah. Visibility is very important. It's
Mhm.
tough, like, because I understand people, you have to have the right connections and get noticed to begin with to go from that free agent status to that team status, like you're
Yeah.
saying. And, there is a bit for, anyone who's listening, Sal, um, you know, tournaments used to be a good way for people to get noticed, and we do have these draft opportunities, these mix and match opportunities, which is nice, but it's not the same. And maybe if we get enough pool um, interest, we had a large pool last year. This year the pool is pretty shallow. We could do some sort of D League type scrimmage or something like that would be nice. I think giving people the
Yeah.
opportunity, or even like we were talking about possibly and this is different. His question is more so like you evaluating talent since you're out there, but even having people's profiles be maybe having a semi-pro page to the profile page of like, a little bit more in depth so that when a captain's looking at a person who's an available player, they can get more like where have you played, what positions do you play,
Yeah.
just more information about folks because there's people who are sitting there. I at Ron Konkoma yesterday, I was sitting. I'm like, who's this person? I'm like showing Joe Mark because he knows everyone. I'm like, who is this? I don't even. They've been in the pool, so it's tough for those folks in the pool just waiting.
Yeah. I think that the D League, dodgeball does that, and I think that would be like a good idea too. What you said with draft, I also agree with. I think I know people who don't want to ever do draft because they love playing with their friends, but you're not going to play with your friends in semi-pro. Like it's usually not the case. So sign up for draft. I feel like that's the only reason anyone knows me, to be honest. I did draft in Deer Park after playing with my family, and my family were like, "No, we only want to play with you guys." And I'm like, "I'll try it." It's the only reason why I know so many people, because that's what made me join Snowball that year. And then like that's just I feel like draft is just the best way to play with people you don't play with and get noticed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
The
sure.
the D League is tough though because I know it works in dodgeball, but problem is that kickball has very limited time and space to do stuff,
Yeah,
and it's really hard to like. The idea is great. I wish we could do it, but I know that's a very difficult challenge to kind of
yeah, it
pull
would
off.
be.
You
I
know,
wish.
I
Yeah, no, you
well I
go.
well so like I think that like I wish more people would want to practice. Like I think that in Ron Konkoma, we've run a few practices. I haven't really made it public, but I do kind of like ask people if they want to practice. But I think people should practice more. I think also people should be honest about themselves, what they're not good at and what they need to get good at. I mean, I know like a lot of people are sensitive and don't want to really hear criticism, but I think if you're a player that's kind of floating around the pool or deciding if you want to sign up for semi-pro and don't know if you're good enough, I think you should ask someone who is good, hey, what do you think I should work on, or how do you do this? Like, I don't personally
Mhm.
hear that enough. I do hear it sometimes, but I think that's what people
I
need
always
to
ask
work on.
you.
No, and I've always answered, and it doesn't matter if I know you or you're gonna play on a team of mine or I'm gonna play against you. Like, it doesn't matter because I generally want to help the community. So I think that if someone were to ask me that, that's usually the answer I give. And also, it's kind of a side note, but like play in these fast pitch tournaments. I know that I've personally asked a few people that I don't normally play with, and they're busy, and I understand that. But like those are also opportunities that people are missing to play with veteran players, good players, to learn from them, even if it's not the same format that we're playing in semi-pro. You play well in a fast pitch tournament. I mean, that's a huge consideration for semi-pro. That's what I would say personally.
Yeah, could be a big gap though, a big jump to go from, you know,
Jump in the
a
water,
league.
you swim, sink or
Yeah,
swim.
and find out. Yeah, I was also thinking that like, you know, even doing like maybe that Friday league because there's like no more days during the week, and like
Yeah,
turning that into like a clinic or a camp or something like a boot camp type deal because it's like people who are gonna show up on the Fridays,
Shout out to
they're
boot
gonna want
camp.
they're
it-
they're gonna
it's because
wanna
they.
they're gonna wa- yeah, but they're gonna want to do it to do like a clinic or some sort of league that's meant to be practicing. Like that's what Super League used to be on Sundays, but now Ronkonkoma is Sundays, and I feel like that would offset it. Or even doing a tournament format. I feel like, and this is the last thing I'll say. I'll move on to the next question, but this is important to me. Like the tournament scene has shifted, right? It's draft now, and even with these newer, I'm not gonna lie, even with these newer, this jamboree that's coming out, you can't see players anymore for whatever reason you can't see the players, I'm not signing up for anything if I can't see who's signed up, because that matters to me. I don't want to play reverse co-ed, being, the strongest girl on the team. I want to know who else has signed up. So I think that if there was a tournament format with maybe like you're guaranteed 4 veterans, kind of like a franchise situation, where 4
Yeah.
veterans are grouped on a team. If us 3 and Davert were on a team, right? And so there's a catcher, there's an outfielder, there's a third baseman, and it's like balanced to be able to get people to play. So you have a mix of both things. You have people who are friends playing together, like a small group, and they're veterans and they can teach. And then there's a draft component. I think doing straight up draft, a lot of people are hesitant a lot of veterans are hesitant. So to your point, signing up for things is great, but if the right people aren't also signing up for those things, the right people meaning people in semi-pro, because they don't want to play these draft tournaments that have, newer players on it. We've got to figure something out of, that's
Middle
my
ground.
thought. Yeah, middle ground. But in the interest of that, it kind of goes with my next question. So in talking about, veteran players and the players in semi-pro, if you can hand pick any player from any team that's currently playing in semi-pro right now and add them to orbit, free of charge, you don't have to cut, you don't have to drop, you just take a player and put them on orbit, who would it be and why? Male, female, whatever, who would you add and why?
So I thought about this for a little bit. My pick would be Matt Taft. I play with Matt a lot. I feel like we really need like another boot on our team. He's got a great leg. It doesn't hurt to have another third baseman, someone who could also play the outfield. And he's great vibes too. I think he would fit in with us. Like Carlos will never give him up, but
That's why. Yes.
Are we making trades on live on the semi-pro show? She is a co-captain, so
yeah.
I like Matt. He's got a great leg. I think we could use someone with a great leg. Another one at least.
Yeah.
He could play outfield. He could play third base. He could
Yeah.
probably play catcher.
He could, great leg, great arm. He's a big man.
let's not get carried away.
Hey, you never know.
That man goes down, he's out for the tournament.
Oh yeah, the big man fall hard. Yeah, he's pretty far away from the ground, standing upright. But no, but Matt's an all around great player, and that's a good answer, because that's an answer that will never happen, because to your point, Carl's never give him up. So this is where you get to daydream of things that'll never happen.
Never say never.
No, he'll live and die by Taft being on Riptide. So
I feel like, and as anyone should.
yeah. So
Okay, well, last one for me. Is there anything you think that can be improved in semi-pro right now? Whether it's feasible or not, like, what do you think is like what instantly would improve semi-pro?
I'm not sure who put this idea in my head, or if it was like mentioned, but someone put in an idea in my head or mentioned it about having like a semi-pro
Combine?
Yeah, was it you?
I think I might have been in the area. I've thought about this too. I think that would be
I
awesome,
think
but yeah.
that would be sick. I think that it would help a lot. I mean, some people might just be like, I don't care about like how they did in the combine. Like, I know this player, I play with them 3 days a week and I think they're amazing and I'm picking them. But maybe that person who nobody knows does amazing at something like that, and opens up eyes.
I mean, I've thought about this. I even have like ideas for like different like events that are relevant to positions, right? Because it's like, obviously fast people are fast, but how fast are you actually after bunting? Because you can be fast, but also not, run in a straight line. There's different
I
things.
was you. We talked about this.
It probably could have been. Probably could have
Because I
been.
was telling you how like I stop and I bunt and then I look and then I keep going and it's like that motion.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean that's true. That's a good.
Yeah, I can imagine like a combine at the beginning of the year, especially for players who are relatively unknown, or even players who are veterans just want to see how they measure up. I think that'd be really cool.
So what
Yeah.
is, for people who might not know, what is a combine?
So a combine. So most popular is the NFL combine. So it's a place where draft hopefuls, rookies or to be before the draft, will do a series of different competitions or events, like a 40-yard dash, or like there's like wide receiver drills that they do, and it's basically in a place where scouts can come and evaluate the incoming talent and basically see where they fit in the team, and basically, and but also it's not like a do or die thing. Like there are players who are really really good that kind of like skip the combine, but it's basically a way for people to scout and see where you would line up for their team. So that's
Cool.
which is relevant for us because again we have a lot of players that like either are unknown or maybe they've gotten better in a year, but like no one really thinks that they've gotten better. So this is kind of a way to measure and get a good look at them. So yeah, that's
Cool.
kind of what it
Yeah.
is.
That is a good idea. All these different great ideas of engagement.
Mhm.
If anyone's listening who can make it happen.
A lot of people listening.
So my last question is: every team is missing something that keeps them from winning. What is one thing your team needs more of, and one thing your team needs less of?
So I think that I don't know, and like if this is necessarily like what we need more of, but our we need to work more on our offense, um, kicking.
Mhm.
I think we have a really good defense. I think just sometimes like we struggle to, get runs in, get on
Is it
base, move people over.
Yeah, is it more placement or strategy? Is it more seeing it and
I think
understanding?
both.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. A
I
lot
think
of teams
both.
are struggling with that. Rough Riders are struggling with that. We're struggling with that. You're not alone there
We
in
we
that.
struggle with
Yeah,
that.
Yeah. Yeah. The games
yeah.
have been low
I think
scoring
both.
relatively, most of them. So it's
Yeah,
better
I
strategy.
definitely think both. I think that I think we're getting there. I don't remember the exact stats we had from the last one, but we made an adjustment in our lineup, and I think that it started to like work and help us.
Hmm.
Um, I think that we just definitely like the IQ of like we need to be like more focused on like where we're gonna kick next. Like if we have people on 1 and 2, like let's not go down 3. Like just like simple things like that. That I
Right.
think we need to like work on a little bit more, all of us,
Hmm.
to be honest. And sometimes it's an accident. Sometimes like we meant to kick it there, but it just didn't work.
Right.
But we definitely need to work on that. I think our defense is like really solid. I think if we could just
Hmm.
figure out a way to get more runs, like I think we'd be fine.
Hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And you mentioned stats. Are you guys officially recording stats?
No, no,
No,
I
just
think
okay.
Oh, they're not that
James
hardcore.
mentioned to me, he
Lives,
mentioned to me
baby.
something about how once we like changed our lineup, like the amount of runs we got in one game
Yeah.
to like the next was like a huge difference.
Hmm. Yeah. Trial and
Or even
error.
I think it's just last tournament compared to this tournament too. I don't have anything written down.
Yeah, no, it's
I
okay. I
remember
wondered
him
if Gio
mentioning
maybe was, he's kind of very thorough in that way. I feel with when he's locked in on something, he like does it well,
yeah,
does it right, does it thorough. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gio was like doing it all, having you co-captain, but doing stats, doing general managing and captaining and playing and all these things. Is there anything that needs to happen less? It could even be like less drops in the outfield, less kicking players out of getting lead off out. Like, you know, um,
yeah. Um, Maybe not like get necessarily like getting lead off out, but like less getting players on base out. I feel like we sometimes just like beat ourselves up. But for the most part, I think that I don't think so. I think we're going to get it together.
yeah, little by little, you guys have great momentum, like I was saying. Like you could feel
Yeah,
the energy and the rising of you guys. It's just like you said, like some of that, and we've said it too. Like you guys have so much talent, but it's newer stuff that only through playing often do you see the where to kick, how to see
yeah,
the what's in front of you. Some people don't look and think at the plate, and they need someone to tell them every single time. But as they
yeah.
continue to get more experience, they'll start to see it more. So,
Yeah, and that's definitely a thing for us too. Like a lot of these, I mean, even me, like I've only been playing for 3 years, and I feel like a lot of people think that's a long time, but not compared to someone like Dion or Carlos or you. Um, a lot of
13 years, by the way.
yeah, I'm on 3, so you've got 10 on me, and then, like, we have a lot of, like, newer players on our team, and they're
mhm.
amazing, but
Yeah, a lot of raw
they're
talent.
it's that experience that matters.
Hmm.
Um, I think I still struggle with that, but I think that experience definitely is, like, needed, um, to be successful in semi-pro, and Gio has it, and, like, he definitely does, like, a really good job at, captaining and, like, making everyone, like, know where they have to be, what they have to do, and why. I think he explains it really well. So,
Yeah, that's good. He's a good leader with good, for lack of a better term, followers. He's got people who believe in him. So that's important.
100%.
If you don't have
Yeah,
people who believe and can buy into your captainship and your leadership, forget about it. I mean, that
yeah,
was us year one. We struggled with that with them. So
yeah,
so you guys definitely have a lot going for you that the teams typically don't have going for them. So you got a lot of advantages. You guys are gonna pull it together for sure.
yeah. I think that, in general, like, do we wanna win? Of course we do, but I think, like, the long run is important, like, we're all getting used to playing with each other. We're all like I feel like we're getting better each time. We're all getting to know each other, and I think that that really helps. I mean, a lot of us are friends. A lot of us do play together a lot, but I think that the more like we vibe, form our relationship, and play together, like the better we'll be.
Hmm.
Um, so like it looks good in like the long run. I think.
Yeah, yeah. Sustainability for sure.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on
you're
and
welcome.
sharing your thoughts. And again, I'm very happy to have someone from Orbit because you made a splash, whatever the space equivalent. Sorry, that's more of a Riptide thing. You made a gravitational pull in your
A
direction.
hula
You
hoop
ripped a
dance.
you ripped a black hole in the semi-pro atmosphere when you guys came in. So
Uh,
I'm happy to hear from someone on the team and who's had such a story and a journey such as yours. So thank you so much for coming on.
we do have
Thank
the
you
last
guys.
question though. I think you're
Oh,
Ooh.
forgetting. I'll let
Oh
you
no, you're
take.
right.
I'll let you take away this one.
Oh, thanks. So, our last question has become a little bit of a tradition here. So, we have a welcome to semi pro moment. So, everyone has experienced this moment. If you've been playing, some newer players might not have had it yet. But once you have it, it's unmistakable. So, when thinking about your semi pro career thus far, what was your welcome to semi pro moment? What was a moment where you were like, oh shit, like this is it? Like, I'm in this. That was awesome. Like, this is what it's about. There's nothing else like it. Welcome to semi pro.
um, so I think mine was. I mean, I've had like the big great feeling of winning the finale, but I would say like my like welcome to semi pro was probably my first. I was on the cavalry, and I went for a bunt of Jimmy's. I didn't really know him that well, and I went past the pitcher's mound into the turf. Literally got turf burn across my whole shoulder and my back. Looked up and he was on third because I didn't get it. Even though I was very confident
Like
that I did. I also ended up breaking my finger that night, and I was in a cast and had turf burn all over my whole back for like and like scars. The scars still there. And it was like, okay, this isn't like that girl that bunts, in Deer Park. Like, this is Jimmy, and
Damn.
that was definitely
Yeah.
my okay. This is like kind of serious.
Scars, yeah. Damn, you
Yep,
laid yourself out there for it. Yeah.
I did.
Definitely higher stakes, higher risk, higher reward for sure. I thought you were gonna say you
Yeah,
got him. I
Yeah, I know
nope,
appreciate
that
you
I
that
didn't
saying
get
story
him.
made a crazy turn.
I
Nope,
appreciate
I
you being
didn't
like,
get
I
him.
looked up and he was on third. Like
but
that's so true.
but that's, you know what though,
I
that
didn't
is
get
a
him.
pivotal moment. Like you realize, wow, I
Yep.
got to be better. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, um, it's just that feeling, I think, of like you're in semi pro and this bunt is important because, like, this is the lead off. Like, he's going to go home. Like, this is important. And, like, I felt like an adrenaline rush. Like, I felt like I had to get that bunt.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and you
yeah,
committed to
it
it.
was,
You committed
I
full
did.
body to it. Yeah. Awesome.
And then it was like that wake up, like, realization of, like, and you still didn't get him. So,
Right, 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 right. That motivation, that anger of like next time.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Awesome.
Okay, well, thank you for joining. That was a definitely our longest interview. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Damn.
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah. But no, that's
That's
Yeah.
good
all
though.
right.
That means that there was a lot to say. So
Yeah.
that's always going to be. I always want to hear people's story, no matter how long it takes. So
Yeah.
thank you
Important
for taking the
conversation.
time for sure to talk to us. I
Yeah, of
think it's
course.
going to be really good for other people to hear what you had to say. So
Yeah.
thanks again.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys.
See you Turfside. I'm trying to
Bye.
make that a thing.
Yeah.
I like that.
What a great interview. Was that interview long? Yes. Did we continue the conversation 2 hours after the interview concluded? Also, yes. Passionate people have a lot to say.
Yeah. So next up, we have our highlights. And just as a disclaimer here, we're missing about 33% of the videos. So, if you potentially want to make our highlights, get your captain to upload the videos to YouTube or somehow send it to us. So here we go. All right, coming in at number 3 for my top 3 plays, we have Just Lamano at the bump block spot. Stops Matt Calderone's hard line drive down the bump block. Ball's popped up in the air, just keeps focus, gets the chest pass to first. Great play. All right, number 2, we have Renee who hits the ball the deep second. Ball bounces off Sarah to right field. Number 4 sprints to the sideline to make the throw to Carlos to make the peg on a sliding Daverick at home. Also note that Dana protects the potential overthrow from the peg. Great heads up play by the catcher as well. And at number 1, top play, we have Matt Taft with the ball. He lasers to left field. He got DJ fielding the ball, and one bounce goes to second to get Janine out at second. Great play and great catch by Kyle as a second baseman. And those are my top 3 plays.
Coming in at number 3, we have a nasty one-handed snag by Joe D at third, most likely inspired by Gio. The ball is ripped by China, almost going right past him on his right, but he extends his arm and sells out for the tumble catch. At number 2, I have an elite catch by Mariu in left field. The ball is rocketed by Brian Priest, but Mariu uses his speed and agility to track the ball and make that catch. Watch how Mariu adjusts immediately as the ball is kicked and catches it over the shoulder. Difficult play to make. This kind of outfield skill is rare. And my number 1 play is a straight up baller play by Angel on Crimson Lions. Jalen speeds a grounder to third. Angel effortlessly pops the ball up to his hands and throws to a stretched out Regina at first for the out. That urgency of Angel to get the ball across the field and the stretch from Regina is the difference between safe and out on this play.
From epic highlights to some scandalous tea. Let's get into it.
Ooh, yeah. Whispers in the quiet room about who's got walking papers soon. Another roster spot in bloom. It's just that time for our tea. Pass the sugar for the bittersweet. All the closed door meetings. Oh, the taste of free agency. That tea, yeah.
All right, here we go with the tea. So first off the bat, we have a trade. So the trade was Joe Marv coming from Black Knights, going to Orbit, and Orbit sending over Tiana and their number 5 draft pick. So,
What are your thoughts?
So, I mean, I'll really get into my thoughts when I talk about the Black Knights, but initially, I don't really, in my opinion, I don't think it was a great trade. I think that Black Knights should have kept Joe, at least for another tournament. Maybe Black Knights are trying to address a need at a female. Maybe they are looking for a certain archetype for a female. But they did get the number 5 draft pick, so it definitely gives them a lot of room to operate however they want to operate.
Yes, and I can see how that would be attractive and appealing.
Yeah. So after that, so the first pick, or the first team we'll discuss are Black Knights. So it kind of blends into that. So Black Knights picked up Ronald as well as Mario in the second round. Now, like I said, I respect the construction of the trade, but I do disagree with the premise of the trade. I believe, Black Knight had the first pick, so they were always going to be able to pick up Ronald. And I believe they should have kept Joe, which would allow them some flexibility for a big body in the infield, maybe pitcher, bunt block, who's got a strong arm that can get the ball to third or second on those sacrifice bunts. And then also, flexibility in the outfield. I think that Joe can be used in multiple positions. I think he needs to be used properly. And it's just kind of sad to see that was given up so quickly. The pool of talent was pretty good too. So I would like to see Black Knights pick up Ashley with their second round pick. That would have been like a really big steal for them. I'm not saying Mario or Tiana is bad. I just believe that that would have been the boost that they are looking for. Maybe they don't know they're looking for it, but that would have been it.
Yeah, I agree with you. We didn't really see trade activity in year 1 or year 2, so I'm enjoying the increase in risk versus reward that captains are taking early. Mario is a solid player, but I think Joe is currently playing more kickball, which is an advantage that shouldn't be overlooked. At this point, with this trade, it looks like Joe is off to play with his friends and Tiana is playing with hers, and to me, that's not semi-pro. So I wasn't, I get it, but I'm also like, it's not about playing with friends. And I think that that's the easy move, to send players back to who they're comfortable with and who they're friends with. And it's more of a challenge to lead and coach up unfamiliar players. So shout out to Crimson Lions. They do have some friends, but they have a lot of unknowns, and more historically, Rough Riders for taking on that challenge. Rough Riders not only are doing this year, but they did it in year 1 and 2 and won it all. So I really respect that kind of collaboration and making it happen. I also would have liked to play with Ashley, another person I encouraged to sign up after playing with her briefly on Sunday. I'm glad she listened. I hope that she has a great time in semi-pro. I think she'd be a great asset. And to me, she's a game changer of a female player. I haven't seen unknown female talent hit the field like that in a long time, to the point where afterwards I was like, you need to play semi-pro. She moves with intention and without hesitation. I saw just a brief snippet on Sunday, but I was impressed, and I am hard to impress. So I would have, similarly to you, keep Joe, get Ronald, get Ashley instead. But we'll see how this shakes up because it's all strong players regardless. But that would have been my choice. Ronald is a stud, so I'm excited to play with him. And at this point, let's just face it, I'm pretty much living the dream and playing on threat level lemon balls. If you can't consistently beat them, I guess join them. It's been a fun and new experience for me playing with all these powerhouse athletes. So I'm excited to play with Ronald because I've played against him a lot. And I'm sad to see Priest go, but I'm sure he'll find himself on the field again as an asset to another team. Let's move on to Crimson Lions.
Yeah, do you want to start?
Yeah. So again, Jess and Ashley are strong pickups, but I'm a little bit worried about the leadership and coaching these girls may not get if they get lost in the sauce. Because again, there's a lot of unknowns on this team. There are some people who play together. There's like maybe five or six people, like one half the team who may have more synergy and comfort, but then there's another part of the team that doesn't really play together. So there needs to be some leadership and strong vocalizations. And now Alex is back, so I don't know how that will play out because BJ had, led the last tournament. I also would not have dropped Regina personally. There are other ladies on the team who would have gotten the cut for me over Regina, but this is another team where friendships run strong. So what do you think?
Yeah, I really like what the Lions did picking up Jess. I mean, we already spotlighted Jess for a reason, and I think that she's going to get even stronger as her comfort level goes up because this will be the second tournament that she'll be playing with the same team. She's going to be a Scarlet Lioness, is what I like to say. And also Ashley. So I believe if Ashley wasn't going to get picked up, we would have probably had her as our pool analysis player. But I'm not sure what league she plays in, but she's definitely has impressed me. The first thing I noticed is a strong line drive that she was able to do pretty consistently when we played with her. Anytime the ball makes that cracking sound off the leg, it definitely makes you notice. So hopefully she continues that kind of confidence. Like you said, defense, I mean, obviously that's also impressive and very important. But again, the way the ball comes off someone's foot, whether it's a guy or a girl, always makes me notice. So I'm really excited to see her hit the field. So next we have Rough Riders. So Rough Riders picked up CJ Christopher, I believe is his name. So this is the beauty of semi-pro, right? People have different visions, strategies for a team. I don't expect everyone to think like me. But this move has me big head scratcher here. I didn't get a good look at Rough Riders in this tournament, but I did predict them that they would miss the playoffs, so I was right on that. Trade-wise, so I'm sure that there were trades proposed, or maybe Jimmy was trying to make trades to shake it up a bit, but I don't know. Well, clearly there wasn't any success in those trades. Usually what I say is when you're offering players for a trade and no one wants them, that kind of tells you a lot about your own roster. But you know what? I'm looking forward to see this tournament, like how Christopher shakes out, how he fits. There's a saying, get in where you fit in. So, let's see if Chris can kind of get in where he fits in on this team.
Yeah, totally. I admire Jimmy for taking chances over playing it safe, true risk versus reward, like I talked about before. And I hope this works out for them. I don't know CJ well. I do know that he's dating Kayla, so I'm sure that has something to do with this pickup. But we also play with CJ on Sundays, so I am looking forward to seeing what he's got and playing with him and getting a closer look when we play with him tomorrow.
So, the Rough Riders are starting to look like a couples team, if you ask me.
Yeah, coupling up. All they need is Rachel Gerson and
Megan,
maybe.
his wife.
Well, yes. Well, she's there, and
Yeah.
she's the honorary part of that team always. So,
Yeah.
but and Chris Hochuli, that was the other person who.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. All right. Next we got Riptide, right?
Riptide is next. Yes.
So I
Thoughts?
will. Yeah, my thoughts are their pickup was Kristen, another player we're playing with on Sundays. And she definitely has raw talent. She's all legs, that girl, which is great for height and being a presence on the field. Like you put her at short, a ball's not getting by her. She's there. And those legs are great for kicking. So she'll be a strong batter, and she was a strong batter on Sunday. It's just more about learning the game and like being coached up and understanding the strategy, which will come with time. And also, not to sleep on this, she's a volleyball player. So moving to an incoming ball in the air comes naturally to her, I would think. So that is an advantage. She won't, freeze up, or, I feel as though she'll approach a ball that's coming towards her in the air. I would have also some different moves I would have done. I would have dropped Kat due to her not coming to tournaments. It wouldn't be a cut, it would be a drop, which means that there's a cut left, and I probably would have cut another lady. I think that there's some unproductive players on the team that the team could just do without. I think sometimes less is more. And again, this is my thought last show about, Carlos, he does like to have items in stock just in case he needs them, but complete opposite strategy of my team. My team is less is more. And sometimes I think that is the way to go. So I would have done a pickup, a drop, and a cut. What about you? What do you think?
I hear you on that. I will also say though, just keep in mind that there are some players that won't be making the tournament, so I think that sometimes that goes into the strategy of picking up extra players, knowing that information that maybe other teams don't know. But yeah,
True.
no, about Kristen, I agree with what you said. I mean, I think that we were missing another big boot from a lady on our team. I think there are times where we kind of are left out to dry with some of our base runners, and I think that being able to clear the infield consistently is going to help us score more runs. I mean, we already have a pretty talented roster, so adding another raw talent is only going to help. I think with some guidance from the veterans on our team, we're going to make sure that she's on the right road to being her best self in kickball.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, she's going to be a tall glass of milk out there. So it excites me. So really, it's going to be really great to play with her on semi-pro.
We love a tall glass of milk around here.
Yeah. Okay, moving to Orbit is the next team. Now, Orbit was involved in the trade like we discussed, so they lost Tiana and they lost their first round draft pick. Therefore, they ended up picking up Isabella with their second round draft pick. Of course, they also got Joe to kind of replace a player. I believe they cut David.
They dropped him
or
because he
dropped
didn't show
him,
up.
whichever. Yeah. I mean, at that point, when there's only one move, it's the same. But yeah, so what I think any team is going to be able to take advantage of Joe. He can fit into multiple roles, so I think that's just going to help Orbit to continue to have success like they've been having. The Bella pickup, I want to see how she fits in defensively. We've worked with Bella. She's gotten a lot better with her kicking, and Bella is fast, so that is a definite big pro, being a fast girl. But let's see where she fits in. Jill probably has a plan. I'm thinking maybe she kind of spells Taylor at catcher at times. Maybe get some reps at bump block. I think she'll just be a complement to what they already have. So I'm kind of neutral in the pickup. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, Absolutely. And also too, like, I'm surprised by that pickup just because, there's definitely a theme there. And I do love the crossover of dodgeball to kickball. I've been seeing a lot more dodgeballers play kickball, and honestly makes me very happy because, the two sports are very different, and these folks are very athletic, agile. So I've been seeing, Jordan and Dylan and, Meg and all these folks play on Sundays, and they play on one of the Hexer days, and I think it's awesome. But like, where's Taylor Deane? Where's Sophia? Where's Chrissy? Like, in terms of getting your friends, right? Those are some girls that I, will always remember as like, dang, those are some good girls from dodgeball. So just in terms of recruiting and getting their friends to sign up, I'm wondering where those ladies are at. But for my thoughts on Orbit, so I'm sad not to play with my bestie anymore, but Joe will be strong on Orbit because he already plays with them during the week. And so that synergy will continue to build. And I think that that's an advantage that's overlooked. So we just kind of handed to them, that will only make them a bigger threat. So I'll miss him. But Isabella was an interesting pickup. I'm not sure what Gio's plan is there. I played with Bella. She does succumb to pressure at times. She has had improvements for sure. And she's been a pretty solid supplemental pickup player. I've heard nothing but great things. There's the permanent draft and there's the supplemental. And she's honestly a really good example. I would say the only other good example that comes to mind is Josh from year one, who played with us and then got picked up, who got dropped and then played with us and then got picked up again. Like, there really is a beautiful story that's written within the supplemental draft that's different than the permanent draft, right? The supplemental draft kind of prepares players sometimes for the permanent draft. And I think that there has been a lot of improvements with Isabella, and I'm happy to see that she's been playing and filling in this really important role for teams and helping them and getting some exposure without all the pressure, because you're just a supplemental player, right? You're here to help out. You're here to play for the tournament. And so she's played every tournament, I do believe, right, as a supplemental player.
Yes.
And now she's been picked up as a permanent player. So I think that's beautiful. I think that is, again, the beauty of the supplemental draft. And I think that playing on this team will be a confidence builder. I just want her to not get in her own head and stay calm, cool, and collected, because I know she can do great things and not succumb to that pressure. Positionally, I'm wondering if she will catch so Taylor can play more of the field. I know that Taylor wants to get out from behind the plate. It's just she's so dang fast. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Orbit. I'm looking forward to seeing how they come together, and I do believe they're stronger and they're an even bigger threat now. So.
Yeah, and just to add on to like the story, like the path of Bella and the opportunity that supplemental pool kind of grants, I think that everyone has a story, right? Everyone, whether they're in the pool looking to get on a team, on a supplemental pool player that's getting picked up, looking to find a permanent team, like there are stories in every tournament. Team stories, the boot camp, right? You never won it in 2 years, and third year they finally won it. Like there's storylines all over, and I think that keeps it fresh every month. It's just you cannot. It's just like live sports, right? It's the best form of television. It's like you don't know what's going to happen, and just tune in. So yeah. Okay, moving along to the last team, boot camp. Boot camp didn't do anything, which is why they have a big boot that's in the mud. What's the saying? No news is good news. So yeah, I think they just feel like their team is strong. I think I'm sure they feel that the players that they have on their team is enough to win another one. So I respect that. I don't necessarily disagree with that. So, we'll see if they stick with the trend of former team that wins it and doesn't qualify. But yeah, I mean, you have any thoughts on the no news team?
I think that's pretty on brand for boot camp generally, but also for a team who did really well. You know, they don't want to make any changes and see if they can copy paste and reproduce the talent and magic that they had in the last tournament. I do think that they're solid through and through. A few of my thoughts are I wanted to have more about boot camp on this podcast. We were considering having someone come on from boot camp to be someone we'd interview, but I spoke with Amon and he said he was having 4 boot campers on his podcast. So I didn't want it to be too redundant because I do want to give them their flowers. They were who I was rooting for. I think that that was very evident on the field. I was rooting for them. In the last show, I was rooting for them. I'm very happy that they won. I just want to give out a shout out to Kerry. I don't know Kerry too much. I'm playing in Huntington, which I historically have really never played in. And she's awesome. So I had a chance to just see her make some great plays at one, real heads up plays. And I just wanted to give her a shout out because I was like, damn, like she was really killing it on Mondays in Huntington. And, you know, I think that they're strong and, you know, there's always that element of who might not be there, who might not show up to a certain tournament, which can change the flow of things. But yeah, I think they're riding high on that momentum and on that win. And I'm looking forward to see them sustaining it, like I had said in my recap word. So congrats again, boot camp.
Great. Awesome. Okay, so that does it for the trade and draft aspect of tea time. Now we'll go into our player pool analysis. Now we have 2 players here, Nick Cannellini and Rich Price. So initial thoughts on Nick? I'll let you start.
Sure. So Nick was my pick. He's another person who I recommended to sign up, and he did. So you're welcome, Sal. Nick, I first met Nick as an umpire years ago. He was umpiring Ronkonkoma, another league that I just played in here and there. And I didn't even know he played. I just thought he was an ump. But when somebody umpires a lot, they watch, they learn, they understand the game. So I definitely think that that's an advantage. Why I told him to sign up because, and I wouldn't just tell someone to sign up if I truly didn't think that they had value to add and they wouldn't be someone worth considering, obviously. But we played against him. He was lead off. He was consistently line driving, like strong balls up the middle, which is what you want to do as a lead off. So his balls were consistently like, you know, lasers that were landing on the ground. You couldn't really catch them. They weren't hanging in the air. He's fast. In the outfield, you know, again, we talk about this all the time. Like when people talk about player talent and they're talking about, well, in Deer Park, this person's great. Yeah, but the talent's not great. So what someone can do in Deer Park or what someone can do in East Meadow or what someone can do, it's like, well, what's the context of the setting that they're in, right? But what I was seeing, they weren't easy games. They were like top seed games that Nick was playing in. And he did well in the outfield, I had thought. And he's quick. He had heads up plays, not a lot of errors that I was seeing. I was talking to him after, like I told him he should sign up. And he was like, yeah, I don't know. People have kind of said that. And I was like, well, you know, that's just my recommendation. I think that you'd be a great pickup. And then he comes up beside me and he's like, okay, I did it. Now what? So I was like explaining to him what to expect. And he was like, I'll play catcher, which I think is important. We don't really have many male catchers. I mean, it's not to say that Nick is a catcher. I think he prefers outfield, but that could be a change up. You know, we have both of our fellas here. Rich, you know, prefers to catch, but that is an option for Nick. And I did want to highlight him. You know, he's another person I would like to see people take a chance on and who can go from supplemental to permanent because I think he has a lot of skill and a lot to offer teams. So that's my spiel. You saw Nick play a bit. What do you think?
Yeah, so, yeah, now I'll admit I haven't really been watching super closely. I don't think I played on a lot of teams with him. A few times, but I think what impresses me is his approach to the game. Right, he seems very, very calm, very collected. Nothing is too big for him. The moment's not too big, and I think that's important in semi-pro because semi-pro is the biggest thing in an LI kickball. So to be able to kind of like, if I'm its teammate on like a semi-pro team, I want to make sure that the people who are playing next to me, aren't overwhelmed. Like because that also kind of it spreads. If you're insecure and anxious, and that just creates more energy that passes on to the next player. So I believe that Nick has that like basically like ice in his veins type player. I think that will be a benefit to any team that picks him up offensively. I am impressed with some of his kicks, just to kind of agree with you. And that's kind of like the standard. You want to have a guy who's good offensively. If you don't have a guy who's good offensively, then you better be like an old world class positional player on defense. So he has really good offensive skills. Now the outfield, I need more. I need to see more. I do think that he does attack the ball in the outfield. I don't really know how good his like hand-eye coordination is, but maybe I'll see more now that I'm playing in Ronkonkoma. So I'll have a chance to see him play more. I know we just played them in the first week, and they did. By the way, they did win the league in the spring in Ronkonkoma. So there's clearly some talent there. But yeah, I think that there are teams that could use his abilities, his skills, and maybe he gets picked up in the supplemental. I know that we still have time for that. I don't know who's going to be, who's going to be missing for this July semi-pro. So this can be a flyer basically for teams who need a fast guy who can play, who's willing to play catcher, who feels comfortable in the outfield, who can get you a line drive and can get around the bases. So I think that there are some teams that can use him. So we'll see if people take a flyer on him for supplemental.
Yeah.
Now, next is Rich Price. Now, Rich has been playing kickball for a very long time, and I feel like Rich knows who he is, right? He is a very fast player. Rich will get around the bases for sure, and he's a very solid bunter / line drive kicker. Like, he is someone you want leading off to have the space to run. Offensively I think he's like B plus type of player offensively. Now defensively, he's very specialized. So you're not going to throw Rich out in the outfields like you would, like a typical outfielder. He's going to come in as a catcher. He's going to intimidate bunters to force them to bunt a little bit too hard to get away from him, or pop up bunt because everyone's trying to run really fast to get to the base and screws up their technique. So I think that if you're a team that's looking for someone to fit that role of can contribute offensively as well as play a role on defense in that specialized catcher position, I think he's the perfect pickup. I don't know if other teams are really looking for that. I don't think like our team is looking for that specifically. He was playing with us, but I think Carlos kind of figured that wanted to move in a different direction because we're not really running a male catcher. So that's obviously a contrast in direction or strategy. But I know that there's other teams that are looking for that. So I think that if you are looking for a male catcher who can contribute, he's the perfect player to pick up.
Yeah, definitely. We've played with Rich. We've known Rich for a while. You're currently playing with Rich on Thursdays, right?
Yes, and in the Harrison Kickball League, which is fast pitch. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that it speaks volumes that Rich travels down here on a Friday night for semi-pro. Like his heart's in it. He's motivated. He's a sweetheart. He's so awesome, and he's very easygoing. And I would agree with you on his skills and abilities. He really is very good at being consistent with his leadoff and his low line drives. He does keep it low and hard, and he is very fast as he goes around the bases. And just like you said, playing catcher, I think we haven't seen too many male catchers. There's, teams that are it's a strange and interesting thing to me. There's teams that are okay with what they have at catcher when they could have something, different or more or better or whatever it is. So, and I also know that teams, are limited with their moves and what they can do per tournament. So I think that Rich might get picked up as teams continue to shapeshift, but he's definitely a great pick. Someone who, in looking at who's in the pool, shouldn't be in the pool, in my opinion. A lot of talent, a great team player, who is collaborative. He, will do what the team needs to win. And that's important and should not be overlooked. Like, Rich will not give you pushback. And Rich is also critical of himself. Like, he wants to do well. And I think that he is self-reflective, which some folks aren't. So definitely, give a look for these two based off of what we're saying. And if they fit a need that you have, consider them. Supplemental, permanent, whatever it is. They're two great players.
Absolutely. So hopefully they'll get put on the team. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so that concludes our tea time portion of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next we'll get into the look ahead. All right, so now let's flash forward to the look ahead for the next tournament. In Pool 1, it's going to be Boot Camp, Rough Riders, and Crimson Lions. And in Pool 2, it's going to be Orbit, Riptide, and Black Knights. Crossover games are going to be the teams that are above each other. So Boot Camp and Orbit is going to be that crossover game. Rough Riders and Riptide are going to be the other crossover game. And Crimson Lions and Black Knights will be the last crossover game. Now, we like to give our just basic predictions of who's gonna make the playoffs and who's not gonna make the playoffs. I don't want to get into who's finishing first or second, but for Pool 1, which is Boot Camp, Rough Riders, Crimson Lions, it's a tough one actually, because I think that Boot Camp would be looked at as the favorite for coming out. We do have the Champions Curse that's been going on. So if I am if I believe in the, the trend, I would say Boot Camp will be out. Now, do I stray from that? I'm going to say they will make it. Boot Camp's going to make it, and I think that Crimson Lions will make it. So I have Rough Riders for the second straight tournament missing the playoffs. What say you?
Well, first, before I wanted to call a small timeout, because I just realized that Joe Marv on Orbit means we'll have more videos. Yay! We'll have more videos. What say me? It's tough to say. It really is.
It wasn't easy. I'm like,
Yeah.
going on. Yeah. It's going on.
No, I know. So I would want to say that Boot Camp makes it. Again, we don't know who's missing and who needs to be picked up. I'm gonna just do a reverse and say Rough Riders are gonna make it, and Crimson Lions, maybe with their like the changes on their teams. There's a lot of change coming through to some teams that I feel might be more equipped to handle that change. Crimson Lions has a lot of newer talent as well, newer players, and they have some returning players that weren't there last month. They have some new additions, so they really have to gel together. So while I do think that they're maybe stronger than Rough Riders, I think that Rough Riders has more experience, and that Jimmy can, he just added one player. They have a lot of moving parts they've got to work with that could fall apart. So I'm going to say Boot Camp and Rough Riders.
Okay, that's fair. We'll see who is correct. Maybe we're both wrong. That's possible.
Yeah.
So for Pool 2, Orbit Riptide Black Knights, this is a tough one. This one I would consider a pool of death, to be honest with you.
It is a pool of death.
Orbit
Pool
is
of
a, two-time finalist, I believe, out of 3. Riptide is a former champion, and so is Black Knights. Black Knights previously missed the last tournament, like Riptide tournament before them. Orbit has had a lot of success. I believe Black Knights did improve, but so did Orbit.
What about y'all?
I think we've improved. We've also improved. I think all 3 teams improved,
smaller,
honestly.
Though. Well, on
But-
a smaller scale, I think you guys on a smaller scale compared.
Yes,
so
I
you guys
think
didn't
we
really
did
change too much.
make a gradual change, but I don't think we needed to.
Right.
I would say that I think we'll make it. Start off there. And the second team that joins Riptide would be I'm gonna go Orbit, and Black Knights missing it. Just want to go.
I knew you were gonna say that. Well, right back at you. I think it's gonna be Orbit and us, not just because you counted us out, but first I just want to say we're just always in a pool together. It's just so nice. Like, wow, we get to play each other. Probably first game again. It's just the luck that we've had in the same pool.
Who's making these schedules, man? I don't know what's going on.
While they're forming some friendships, maybe they're trying to break up others. I'm just kidding. But I think that Orbit is hungrier than some other teams. Not to say your team or my team, but they want it. I feel it. I feel their energy, and I just think that we have a different kind of energy coming in with these pickups. I have some confidence with these pickups. Mario played with them before, so that's a familiar face. That's a familiar vibe. Ronald has played with some of these players before. So I think that that's also something that might be, and obviously Tiana has played. So we have a lot of familiarity coming back, which, I had talked about in other parts of the show, how I felt about that. But I think it is a good thing for us in that, our gelling and our flow will definitely be there. So I am going to say it's going to be us in Orbit. I think that you guys...
bold of you that consider Riptide not making playoffs.
Bold. It is bold of me. And the only reason I'm really saying that is because, and I'd love to be proven wrong, I've said it over and over and over again, your team has so much talent, but you're also adding, again, there's some players that I think are a bit unproductive. You're adding someone who's completely new. I think she's great, but this is a different level, and I think that's a lot to manage. So I think that things, when you guys are on, you're on, but if you're a little bit off, forget about it. And this might push you guys to be a little bit off. And I'd love for you to prove me wrong and pull it together, but yeah, when you have some players who might not be doing what it is that they need to do with some new people who it's not their fault, that they're new and they don't know, you need a lot of communication and a lot of leadership to get through.
Okay, so just to kind of recap, for pool 1, I had Boot Camp and Crimson Lions in no particular order making the playoffs from that pool, and I had Orbit and Riptide making it from Pool 2, and you had, I
Boot
believe,
Camp and Rough Riders.
Boot Camp and Rough Riders making it
Black
from the
Knights
Lions
and Orbit.
missing, and Riptide missing it out of Pool 2. Okay, cool. So, very long episode, but this concludes this edition of the Semi-Pro Show. We look forward to seeing you guys on the turf or on the grass, since we're going to be at Eisenhower Park. It's going to be on July 24th at 7 o'clock.
We can't wait to see you and play against you, and come watch if you don't play. Especially if you're in the pool. Come see what it's all about.
Definitely. All right, see you guys then. Bye.